And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On The Rise Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we're joined all the way from Switzerland, Patrick Tuor. Yay, Patrick. How you doing, mate?
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me. Hope you're all well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah. I'm 2 weeks in and looks the same shit as last year, so Happy New Year.
Yeah, we're on, we just said that before we started film, we got no gyms at the moment, so we're all feeling a bit, I'm feeling a bit skinny, so how are you managing now over there in Switzerland? Well, you're in Italy, aren't you?
No, I'm right on the border to Italy, but still in Switzerland, the Italian part of Switzerland.
Hang on a minute, I thought you moved to Rome.
No, we're in Rome. We used to be pretty often because Sylvia has her parents there. And actually right now she is in Rome because she had to go back and see him. But I live right inside Switzerland across. I look over the lake here and I see Italy. So it's like half a mile away from Italy, but in Switzerland.
Right. Good. Okay. So I'm just trying to keep up with your location.
Yeah.
Right. Okay then, mate. Well, 2020 was a pretty good year for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. Some ups, some downs, but overall, when you take a line after the year and you look what you did, I say more positive than negative for sure, yeah.
I think for you particularly, I think that was the year that I've heard your name spoken about more than any other.
Well, I guess, as long as people speak about me, it's good. Good and bad.
Yeah.
When people don't talk about it anymore, then I guess you have to worry. But no, jokes aside, yeah, it was. I think every year has been a build-up. Always trying to do better and bigger things, and was fortunate enough to. I think, as you said, it in many cases it was really good and stepped it up a notch with some really good pro wins. And as a bodybuilding fan myself, and as a coach, obviously that's where you want to go. So I couldn't be happier. Yeah.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because I remember speaking to Barry DeMay about like Sybil, Sybil Peters, and he said before she was working with Roelly, he said she's been doing what she's been doing for 30 years at a high level. Neil Hill was doing what he was doing for many, many years. But once you get those Iain Valliere winning the New York Pro, James Hollinshead winning, 2 pro shows, and you have that kind of a bit of a good run in the short space of time, then all of a sudden everyone is talking about you.
I mean, those are the people that we look up to. I mean, pro shows, those professional high-level bodybuilders are the ones who get the media exposure, the ones you guys talk about mostly. So obviously then if you are connected to those people, it's more so natural that they talk about you also. So, but as you said, I've been doing this for 25 years, winning national championships and in every country in Europe. But you just don't get the exposure because the people you train don't have this visibility. So I get the visibility my athletes get. And so it's more than natural.
Right. Now we'll come to your sort of high profile athletes in a little bit. But I really want to talk about, because I mean, obviously, the big news, the biggest thing that's happened at the end of the year was obviously the Olympia. I really wanted to get you on because I want to get your take on it. Right. Let's throw some names. Let's just talk about Big Ramy. What did you see that one coming?
No, I didn't see it coming, but simply because it's mathematical. I mean, he has been there, I think, 5 or 6 times before.
Yeah.
So always not really showing what we all expected. So you just go by deduction. You say, yeah, it's more probable that he's not going to do it than he is going to do it. But I was very pleasantly surprised, and I thought he brought an amazing package, clearly his best package ever.
Yeah.
And I still think he can look better than what he did. I still think that he can even be more dominant than what he has been.
So, I mean, he's been, I've heard like 305, 306, well over 300 pounds. And we always said he just needs to come down a bit lighter to bring the waist in, to get the legs more separated. And he kind of managed to do all those things. I don't know how he managed to bring his waist in because his front shots were always weak for me. But then the front lat spread, the frontal bicep, they were some of his best shots at the Olympia for me. And it's like, he came down, by coming down to 289, like Ronnie did, like they said at the 2001 Arnold Classic, some people say that was Ronnie's best ever look. And Ronnie was like 247. He wasn't 280, 290, So what's your feelings?
My feelings are exactly the same as yours. It really doesn't matter how much he weighs, as long as he can keep that muscularity.
Yeah.
His frame is so much bigger than everybody else. It's just a matter of, it's just not muscle, but it's frame. He's wider, and he has dominant body parts like his legs, his shoulders, shoulder width. So he doesn't need to fill those extremely, to as extreme possible. He doesn't have to do that, because he is so dominantly, his structure is so much bigger than anybody else. So he just needs to make sure his condition is on point, and he can get a decent fullness in. And he did exactly that. I mean, it was perfect game plan they had. Perfect.
If he came to you and said, look, Patrick, how do I improve my physique to retain the title in 2021? What would you advise him? I
would advise him to stay with Chad, because he did
yeah.
I mean, what? I'm not hypocritical. I couldn't do it any better. He is the best in the world, won the Olympia title, and I would say you would be out of your mind if you would try to go another route. You just have to stay with the coach that put you there, and Chad did that. And he knows his body. Every show they will do, he will get to know his body better, the way to bring him in. So it would be crazy on his part to ask me for help, because there's no way I could do any better for him. My advice as a friend, which I am with him, would be, don't change the game plan. Yeah. Don't change it. Just try to have maybe a safer off season in terms of, what he had to go through this year, a very consistent, good off season, not pushing the food too high, and just making sure he is healthy, recovering plenty from that. And then just make sure he puts everything that he did this year with the extra knowledge then gained and to the exact same protocol. So there's no reason to change where you're on top. Obviously, there's still little things I know they will improve on. I'm sure Chad has seen so many things that he has learned from, but there's not much they need to change. I don't see anybody really beating him if he can bring that type of condition, that stage presence, and on 2 days bring that package the way he did. There's no need to do anything else.
Do you know Rami's age?
I'm not sure, but I think it's the late 30s.
Right, because I know
like 35.
I remember hearing at the time, or thinking at the time, he was younger than I thought he was. So it's like, to be, Mr. Olympia in mid to late, sort of 35, 36, 37, that's a good kind of starting point to become Mr. Olympia. So how many do you think he can win?
Well, that is impossible to say. But what I would say is it just depends how his body holds on to, everything they're doing, how healthy he can stay, how responsive his body can stay, and how hungry he can stay, because that's another thing. Once you win that title, obviously there are two things that can happen. One is you are very satisfied with yourself, and you believe that you forget all the hardship that you went through. Immediately you win, and you forget all those years where you did not do what you were supposed to. Or on the other hand, you get hungrier. You just now see your potential and you want to work on that. So it really depends his mind, what his mind will do. Will he get hungrier and make sure he works even harder? Or does he just, live the lifestyle and happy about all the people wanting to see him, wanting to be around him? That sometimes can distract from the bodybuilding career. So I think more than physically, it's going to be interesting to see how mentally tough and hungry he can stay.
It's funny because you both happened to Jay Cutler. 'Cause remember when Jay Cutler in 2007, and many arguably said that Victor Martinez should have won that, and he kind of come back and he didn't look as good, and then he lost the title in 2008, and then. Because he said when he was always his hungriest when he was chasing Ronnie, when he had that kind of benchmark to chase. And then when he lost the title, that's when he really came back in 2009 and just absolutely, just presented a package that we didn't even think was even possible.
Yeah, I think what's going to be important for him is to surround himself with people who can criticize him.
Yeah.
Obviously, I am 100% sure Chad will do that. And stay objective and stay critic and look for the things they can improve more than the things they did. But it's important also as an athlete, as a professional athlete, to have not only friends in your corner, not only people who will say you're the best, you're the greatest, you look great, but people who really, put that little doubt in your mind and keep a critical eye and make sure he stays hungry, and then don't just feed him you're the best and you'll never be beaten again type of story. So it's going to be important to be surrounded by people who look at the long term and want to make sure he stays where he is, and then keep him grounded to some extent.
Yeah. So what was your feelings on what Brandon Curry brought?
I saw the live stream on a television. So
yeah, me too.
It's always very different to judge a show, seeing it on a screen than seeing it real. You don't see the muscle pop. You don't see the little details, the way a body flows on stage. So judging from just what I saw on television, he was a more conditioned, little more streamlined look. But personally, and again, I'm just judging by TV, I liked the way he was looking last year better.
Really?
I'm not saying that was a better look. He was just looking more dominant in terms of muscularity. He was big. And this year, I was missing a little bit of that size, that dominant size, especially the legs from the front.
Okay.
I was expecting to see something more, and I didn't see an improvement in terms of muscle size.
Yeah.
Definitely improvement in condition.
Yeah.
His waistline was even smaller, so his shoulder to width ratio was perfect. But I didn't see that popping round muscle which I saw at the Arnold or the Olympia the year before. That's just what I personally, in my opinion, Still, he more than deserved that second place. Maybe him and Hadi could fight it out, but still amazing. And obviously last year they were criticized by the fact that he was supposed to be harder.
Yes.
And they did exactly that. They came in with a harder, a more conditioned package. The only thing is that they found a very much improved Ramy. Otherwise, he would be two-time Mr. Olympia.
Well, I mean, I think I was really, really impressed with what he brought, actually, because he was so criticized for his conditioning and everything. Even at the Arnold Classic, he still wasn't really like he was at this Olympia. We wanted to see that sharp separation in the legs and the glutes and the hamstrings. And I feel like he really brought it this year. And his rear bicep went from being like a weak pose for me to being quite a strong pose.
Yeah, he was more conditioned.
Yeah.
We're really, really talking, finding things where they're hard to find. We're talking about one of the greatest bodybuilders on the planet.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying what really put him apart, in my eyes, as a bodybuilding fan, was this incredible roundness pop that he was bringing to the stage. That's why he beat Bonac at the Arnold Classic. Yeah. It's because he was just... it looked like they pumped him up with a, like an air balloon. And that was the kind of look I was expecting. So obviously, as you try to come in more conditioned, more separated, you're going to lose a little bit of that. So it's always trying to find a compromise between the two. But if you can bring that condition he had this year and be a little fuller around, especially in the legs, he probably could push Ramy a little harder.
Yeah. So, many people have said since, I've been reading on social media, on forums, saying that, based on the night show, Hadi Choopan, many people felt that Hadi Choopan deserves second place. So beating Phil and beating Brandon. What's your feelings?
Beating Brandon, I didn't see it, honestly. I can see him, especially at the finals, beating Phil. Phil, we obviously saw he was not close to the old Phil that we were, or the Phil we were expecting. His midsection, unfortunately, he was not able to fix that problem, and he was not in that popping round plastic look that he usually has. So I can definitely see him beating Phil for that third place.
Okay.
But I didn't see him beating Brandon, honestly. As great as Hadi is. There's just a different type of flow to Brandon. He's just, Hadi is extremely muscular, complete, and super conditioned. He does probably the most he can with that physique. But then Brandon is just genetically in another league, if you ask me, in terms of structure.
I don't know whether it's just my eyes, But for me, Hadi Choopan was not super sharp from the back like I've seen either at the 27 San Marino, which you were at, but we were both at, or the Vancouver. For me, he wasn't as crisp from the back than he was from the front or the side. And I think that's what dropped him to 4th place.
At prejudging Friday, probably yes. But I think that's simply because he was a little on the flat side. It has nothing to do with conditions. Just, sometimes when the muscle is not full enough, you just don't see that push, that pop, that saran wrap type of look on your muscles. So he had time to fix that until finals. Obviously, the guy flew in like 2 days before the show. Imagine what type of stress that is.
This is a fact. This is a factor I think people don't really realize. Like the Olympia in 2019, the Olympia 2020. I mean, is he prepping not even really 100% knowing whether he can even get in? So for me, I think I would love. I think of a Vancouver or San Marino look that he brought in 2017 and 2019. I think it would be. I think he'd be fighting out with Ramy.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than possible. Again, in San Marino, he beat Brandon. Obviously, Brandon wasn't the Brandon he is now. Yeah. But it just really comes down to that apple and oranges type of thing. You're going more with that incredible sharp muscularity, that striated look, or you're going more with the more pleasing, rounder, aesthetic, extreme V-taper look. So I think you can go both ways, absolutely. But I still think that this Olympia, Brandon had my eyes were drawn more to Brandon than they were to Hadi.
Yeah.
No matter how good. But they were drawn more to Hadi than to Phil, that's for sure.
Do you know what Hadi weighs on stage? Because there's a lot of opinion about what he weighs. What would you estimate he weighs?
Well, if you remember in San Marino, he was like around 215 pounds. It was just slightly over.
I messaged you that morning in the hotel, and you said you were with Dennis James, and you said he was 212. I mean, we're splitting hairs. But
it was like really, really close to that 212. Slightly over the 212. I remembered.
Well, he'd only just a couple of weeks before done the Korea where Flex Lewis beat him, so he couldn't have been. I mean, he was 212 there. So what's he going to be? 3-4 pounds over. So I would imagine he would be 215, 216.
I don't know what you saw, but to me, and I was there in person in San Marino. Yeah, he looked bigger in San Marino than he looks now.
Oh, yes, he did. I thought that would have been second place at the Olympia if he'd have brought that. 100%.
Yes, I mean in San Marino he looked like he was made out of rubber. Remember, he was just like.
I was freaking out.
And I think we both had him winning over Cedric, if you remember well.
Yeah. I mean, it was I would have had no argument if he'd have been placed first. Yeah. So what about William Bonac? Where do you think he goes here from here now, dropping down to 5th from 2nd?
William, as long as he can, stay healthy and keep doing what he is, he's always going to be in that top 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He has just an amazing physique.
Yeah.
I think this year the only thing that he was missing was a little downsized in terms of just muscularity, fullness, size. If you look back at 216, for example, or 217, he was just out muscling everybody. I mean, inch per inch, there was nobody bigger on that stage. And this time the condition was really good. I was just expecting more, and I think that's what the judges are seeing is just they're more than to the others. They're comparing to his all-time best, and he was missing that extreme round full look.
Personally, in 2017, I had him second over Ramy because Ramy was second to Phil that year, but I actually had William Bonac second, and I had him really pushing Phil that year as well.
Yeah. So coming back to how it was just, I think it's just a matter of you just do not only compete against the others, you also compete against, especially when you're a top athlete and you have been for years, they expect something. And you can be a little, barely on the flat side and not having that muscle push through, and you already, you skip a place. You still do everything. You look fantastic, which he did, but you're just not giving that impression everybody has in their mind, and boom, you skip down 2-3 places. But I think if he stays healthy, can train well, he's going to be somebody. when he nails it 100%, is always going to be in that first call out and fighting the top 3 always.
I think he's so consistent with his look and his conditioning and his and everything else. I mean, you know, he said he was a little bit like flat or whatever, but he was very super conditioned. I think he could be like a Dexter. I think he'll be like hanging around in the top 5 for comfortably another 5 to 10 years. And I mean, really like hanging in there in the top 5. Anywhere in that top 5, like he has been since 2017, really.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, you have to do better than that. And even a little, slightly subpar William Bonac is still a fantastic bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And all those guys on the outside trying to beat that it's not easy. I mean, you really have to bring something special.
Right. So we've been talking about the tier 1 guys. Now I've actually written about it in my column, which is coming out next month. And I've actually called Iain Valliere the tier 2 Mr Olympia. Because, you know, there's almost like 2 separate contests going on the Olympia. There's always the top 6, the tenured guys that, you know, like the Bonacs and the Haddis, that unless they do something really stupid or really, you know, mess up their prep or they get injured, you know, they're pretty much going to be in the top 5 in any particular order. So, but the tier 2 guys like the Hunter Labradas, you know, the Akims, the Steve Cooklows, all those kind of guys that are kind of fighting the sort of 6th to 12th placings. Iain Valliere really, really leveled up, mate, because the thing is, he's been I can't imagine what it must do to him mentally, because of how he looked at the 2018 Olympia before he started working with you. That was a really, really shocking look. And I know he was 14th, but for me, he was one of the talking points of the show, like Patrick Moore was in the year after, getting 10th place. Yeah. One of those guys that you think, wow, this is really impressive. And then he kind of struggled to get that look, to even get that look back. And then he turned up this year. Okay, let's put the New York Pro win aside. Mate, he turned up with a look that I didn't think... I was shocked. I was absolutely... Like we were with Ramy or Sean Clarida or Chris Bumstead, I was absolutely blown away, mate. Fantastic.
I appreciate it. Well, you know, the thing with Iain is... we started working for his Tampa show in 2019. I mean, 2 weeks before the show. So there wasn't really much we could learn out from the prep, because you just kind of go with the flow, maybe change a few things and just make sure, you know, he just brings 100%, not going to risk anything on stage, and went well. He got that 3rd place and behind Dexter and Luke Sandow. Yeah. And then we started working in off season. We had a really, really good off season where he put on that tissue that you actually saw at the Mr Olympia. Then we practically did our first show, you know, full prep together for the Tampa, which, you know, was a disaster. But we know why. I tried to do some manipulations, which were absolutely not necessary. And knowing how Iain responds to certain things now, you know, looking back, I'm like, how stupid, you know, could you be to do? But it's a process you have to go through at that level. When, you know, for the Olympia, I think we brought a package where we can say, and Iain agrees with me, is like, you could not be 1% better than that. You could be perfectly prepped. You could be like, you could be bigger, fuller, but you wouldn't be as conditioned. Or you could be a little more conditioned, but you wouldn't be as big. So I think we nailed it right to where he maximized everything that he has at this point. And was over 10 pounds heavier than the 2018 Olympia that you mentioned.
Wow, was he?
Yeah, he was like 255, 256.
Wow, okay.
And he was 243 at the 2018 Olympia.
So the curse of the 2018 Olympia of not being able to duplicate that look again is now gone.
Yeah, because we have to go through that process. It's a learning process.
Yeah.
You know, you have certain athletes which fit in a certain category where there's not much that can go wrong at the last week. Yeah. You just you know, do your thing, cruise in, step on stage, and you know you'll look good. Iain is not one of those. Iain is one of those athletes where if you start missing little things like water or salt or anything you have been doing leading up to the prep, if you start playing around with that, if physique changes immediately, I mean, you see him at the morning and then in the afternoon and you're like, went back 5 years. So we had to learn how sensitive he was to everything we were doing. And we made sure that for New York, we already, took a step forward, made sure that, because fullness was the main issue for Tampa, he was in condition, but he's just flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
So we made sure we brought that fullness, trying to keep most of the condition possible. It was okay, but we both knew it's still not what he could be. And then we improved even further to the Olympia. I
remember when you said, I messaged you and you said, I felt I think for the Tampa, you said after Thursday night, I think it was, you said you kind of lost control of what was happening to his body. It's like you couldn't pull it back. So was it what you learned from specifically the Tampa show that really helped him peak perfectly for the Olympia?
Well, both for Tampa and New York, because for New York, we were able to improve on his fullness, which was the main issue, because we both know, okay, you come in full, you're going to be in contention because he has a lot of muscle, he is wide, and he has some very dominant poses. So we just made sure that in those poses, he could really bring his best. But then doing that, we weren't 100% on condition. We both thought that we could be a little sharper for, on stage. So what we did those 2 months leading to almost 3 months leading into the Olympia, we just made sure the condition was a little bit better than coming in from New York.
Okay.
But we almost went through the same process. So just making sure we worked a little harder, and then we could easily bring back that fullness.
Yeah.
And Iain is somebody, for example, he doesn't need a ton of carbs, which is very strange, but he needs more water than carbs.
Okay.
Some people need a ton of carbs to look full.
Yeah.
And Iain is one who we never really went over 400 grams of carbs, 450 grams of carbs the last few days.
Akim Williams said to me, he said, because he looked so different at the Chicago from the judging to the night show. I said, what did you do? And he said, well, I'm someone that needs a lot of carbs. He said, in between the judging and the night show, in like a 4 or 5 hour period, I had 500 grams of carbs and a pizza. And his physique looked completely... So you're saying Iain is the opposite. He doesn't need a lot of carbs, but like you said, he needs more water to keep him full.
Yeah, well, not the opposite, but he's not somebody who is going to look much different with 400 grams of carbs than with 800 grams of carbs.
Right, okay.
So you just don't see that need for more food.
Yeah.
But where he's very, very his fullness is more linked to the amount of water he can have, and especially salt. So he would still look extremely good, especially on low amount of carbs. Like we went down to 200, 220 grams of carbs for maybe different days. But as long as the water and sodium was high, he still was popping. It still looked like he could step on stage. So it wasn't a matter of carbs as much as it was not cutting the water and sodium.
So as his coach and his friend, what was more satisfying for you? Was it seeing how he looked and how he did by winning the New York Pro, or the Olympia with how he looked and getting the 7th place? What was more satisfying for you? What do you consider to be the biggest achievement of the year? Well,
definitely the Olympia look.
Okay.
Even, the last update that I had from him going to the Olympia, going on stage, I said to myself, no matter what the fucking happens, because placings are always, sometimes you just don't see things the way judges see it, or so close between those athletes that you can skip 3-4 places in a heartbeat and still. But more than the placing, I was just said, okay, we did everything that we possibly can to make you look the best.
Yeah.
So he left for the show, and I told him, go have fun, because you just fucking look great. I mean, that's it. I mean, you couldn't look any better. Period.
Also, you weren't with him as well, so you were, like you said, you were back home in Switzerland. So you must have, was that different? Was that frustrating for you? Was it? I mean, obviously it worked out great in the end, but was that tricky trying to, monitor him remotely?
It's not as easy as it is when you have him in front of you. Clearly,
that's what I mean.
If you see somebody in front of you, you can call the shots much easier. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
But we have been doing this for over a year now. I've gotten probably close to 1,000 updates, video updates.
Yeah.
So you start to build a little smell, like a sixth sense that you have.
Yeah.
You know where to go. So even not being there, if you have been working with somebody for long enough, I think you just develop this knowledge of what needs to be done. And then Iain also is somebody who is so extremely disciplined and precise.
Yeah.
That I don't have to worry about but sometimes with other athletes, they're like, did he do what I asked? Did he eat that? You're not 100% sure. That really screws up your mind and your thinking process. But with Iain, he is so just like a robot. Good. That I could make calls, change a meal, and you immediately see what you expect. So when you do something and you see the body respond the way you're thinking, you're on top of things.
Have you discussed his next plans yet?
Yeah, well, right now he's recovering still. Yeah. But something Iain really wants to win, has always wanted to win, is the Toronto Pro.
Okay. Of course, Canadian.
So that's one show has always been on his radar.
Okay.
And the show being late August, apparently, that's something that he would like to do. And also the Arnold Classic, if it is in September, then that's something we could do.
What's your feelings on the Arnold Classic being pushed back to September?
Well, with the current circumstances, I think that is the best thing to do. Obviously, if it was a usual normal year, so close to the Olympia, it takes a little fun out of the equation.
Yeah, they need to be split 6 months apart. Ideally, at least, which they were in March and September. They were 6 months apart.
Yeah, but this way, I think, with the way things are playing out with this COVID situation, the positive thing is it allows those who compete there to really flow their prep into the Olympia, so they don't have this big break in between shows. So there's good and bad on if you ask me.
I think we've got to kind of take what we've got to, because I think a lot of us, I remember back in March, it all kind of kicked off that week, the week of the Arnold Classic back in March, and then back in the UK, we were like, oh, we're going to lock the lockdown for 3 weeks now. And nearly a year later, and it's like, we're still in this kind of things have developed, and it's still. So I think we've just got to kind of adapt and basically what the pro scene did in 2020, just move shows and move venues and do whatever you've got. The Olympia being moved from Vegas to Orlando. I think we just got to kind of take what we can get, because were you at any point, did you think the Olympia was going to be cancelled last year?
Yeah. I was. Until probably late October, I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. It's amazing they pulled it off.
I have friends in Vegas who were telling me, things were really getting bad there, shutting things down.
Yeah.
So it's like, how in the world are they going to help this? And then all of a sudden they move it to Florida, where seemingly everything was still allowed. So hats off to Dan Solomon, hats off to the Pro League.
Amazing.
They fucking pulled a trick out of their hat. This was amazing. And as a bodybuilding fan, I'm just so thankful for what they did. Absolutely.
Also, big congratulations on what you did with James Hollinshead. Leveling him up and getting him those. I know he works like he's like I imagine he's like an Iain. He does exactly what you tell him to do, and he's a hard worker, and he's a grafter, and he's hyper focused, and 2 pro wins. I was disappointed not to see him do the Olympia, but obviously had his reasons. But so what is he now? Is he going to shut it down until the 2021 Olympia, or are you going to pull him in any other shows?
No, he has started off season now, and the main goal is just do this one show.
Really?
Do the Mr. Olympia, yeah.
Nothing before.
Nothing before. Just improve.
Okay.
We're working on some areas that we want to improve. We want to improve his back width. Mm-hmm. We want to improve the roundness on his shoulder, especially like his front relaxed pose is really not dominant enough, even though he carries a lot of size. And we just want to make him a better version of this 219 version, not a bigger version, but a better version, because with 265 pounds on stage, it's a lot of weight to carry, especially if you want to bring it in sharp, because the heavier you get, the more difficult it is to bring in those details. So not really making a bigger version, but a more complete, where his weak shots are less weak. So that's what he's working on. He needs time. That's not something you can do in a few weeks of time. That's something you need 5-6 months of off-season work.
Yeah.
Change up the trainings, change him up again, and then go through a little cut again, then bringing back up, and then pushing training again. So your body has to go through a lot of things to acquire that muscle maturity and to really hold on to that new muscle. So we need that time.
I'd like to see a little bit more kind of upper body detail when he does most muscular. You know, like kind of like what Ramy did. I'd love to see that coming back with some more lines going on, a bit more lower lats. But I mean, the improvements he's made. I mean, God, when I think back to 2014 when he won the super heavyweights at, what was he, 24 years old, 25 years old, you know, and he's just been a continual progression. And I think he's one of those guys. I think he's like Branch Warren that you have to see in the flesh to fully appreciate. Because I saw on the live stream Alicante, and I didn't even have him winning it. I didn't have him. I've said that before, but I think he's one of those guys. Like, I remember seeing Branch Warren at the 2011 Arnold Classic, and when he came out by himself, I just went, "Holy shit, that is not what I see in the photographs." People said the same about Dorian. One of the really dense, really heavy guys, the really solid, thick guys. You know, you have to really see in the flesh to fully appreciate, you know, how good they are.
Yeah. That's exactly what was happening to me when he was doing the Spain show. I was watching in the live stream, and he came out, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not seeing what I was expecting to see."
Same here.
So I called a friend of mine, Pedro is his name. He is from Alicante, and he was watching the show.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you seeing?" And he's really honest. I mean, he's really not somebody who likes to, you know, just say good things because he wants to be friends with you.
Yeah.
And he told me he fucking looks dense and hard.
I knew it.
So he's like, there is no way anything is beating him. So
yeah.
And that was after they did the preliminary 5, you know, comparisons.
Yes.
He said when he turned around and hit that double bicep, he said you could not look at anything else. So I knew we were good.
Isn't it funny? It's like when Iain Valliere did the New York Pro, and I was looking at the live stream, and I was looking at the kind of the phone pictures, and I was like, oh, I think he'll be 5th, 6th. And then when I was shocked when he won, and then when I actually did it on here, you see my reaction when I bring up the high quality footage and the high resolution images, and I'm like, whoa, he looks totally different. So I think, you know, you've got those two guys there that you have to really see in the flesh, or you know, in front of you to really fully appreciate just how good they are. Right. Okay. Right, Patrick, this has been fantastic. Also, quickly, what's happened to Nicolas Voulier? What's he up to?
Well, you know, he was going to compete in Spain.
Yeah.
But he still has a full-time job, first of all.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to travel to Spain, he had to quarantine for 2 weeks, coming back at a time, and things like that, which he could not. He could just simply not do for his work because he's dependent on that. So unfortunately, we had to shut down the prep, which was going extremely well. I mean, it was looking like a new type of Nicolas. And we're still actually looking at what is possible to do this year because we're really, you know, Nicolas is somebody who doesn't just want to compete for the sake of competing, especially not at this point. And we just want to make sure that he is going to be able to travel, that he can come back without having to stay at home for 2 weeks. So right now, as the things are looking, he is training, he's staying, you know, healthy and always being ready to step it up. But we still have not made any decision because it's just not possible at this point. Okay.
Well, I just when I saw the pictures when he was starting to get back into his prep, I just couldn't believe what he'd done with his waist. Like his waist, that reset that you did, that we spoke about when I previously had you on, I think that was a really good move. It was good, you know, because he did have, I think you achieved what you wanted to achieve with him, you know? Yeah. And I'm glad that you actually kept him back and try and keep him in the 212, because I think with, you know, with those improvements and, you know, I think he'll be a real force in the 212. I can't see him not being not a top 5 Olympia guy with multiple pro wins. I could see him being, you know, one of the 212 greats over time, you know, because he's still quite young.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on a side note, I don't know if you saw that kid from Mexico who won the Olympia Amateur in the heavyweights.
What's his name?
Emmanuel Longoria.
Okay.
And I wanted to write you privately, then I forgot. But I am telling you, and you know I don't talk bullshit with you.
You never bullshit me, Patrick.
No, never. What I tell you always comes true. You know that.
Yeah.
I am telling you, that kid, the way he prepped, with what he prepped to win that pro card, and the structure and muscle he has, will be a top I'm not saying 5, but let's say top 10 Olympia the next 4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That is the craziest genetics that personally I've ever coached somebody.
Or out of absolutely everyone. I mean, all those hundreds of athletes, all those elite athletes around the world. Seriously.
He is in the top.
Holy shit. How old is he? How old?
What he did to get his pro card.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't even use for a local show.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
I'm telling you. The kid is just amazing.
It's his destiny, isn't it?
And, yeah. And then we went to the show, didn't use a diuretic, never cut water. Obviously could have been harder. You know, he still looks like he's made out of dough. You know, it's like,
yeah.
But that kid, I mean, now we're going to step it up and do his, and he's as tall, just a little taller than Nicholas.
Okay. Well, if you send me,
to be in the open.
Could you please, after this, send me some photos and video? And what I'll do is I'll edit it in as you're talking. Yeah. We'll edit that in. We'll edit that in. So I want to be the first to kind of talk about this guy that you say is going to be a pretty big deal in a few years.
He's like 5'6.5", something like that.
Okay.
And competed at 221.8. So just in the heavyweight, no, 224. Wow. Sorry, 225 was cut up.
Okay.
And he's going to be open. There's no way he can go down to the 212. He started wrong. And he is as wide as he is tall. I mean, the kid is fantastic. Has every muscle part. He's a nice-looking kid, and he can pose the fuck out of everybody. I mean, the guy is...
that's what we like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
He can, I mean,
nice.
he's a fantastic poser.
Yeah.
Front double bicep vacuum. I mean, the kid is as talented as you get. And he is driven, and he is disciplined.
How old is he, and where's he from?
He's 24, from Mexico.
24?
Yeah, just turned 24.
Wow, okay. Does he speak English?
I think a little bit, yeah. A little bit he does. He's learning now. He has to learn now.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get him on. We'll get him on in a few weeks' time, or whatever. If you want to come on with him on split screen or something, and we can do that. We can get this kid some publicity and kind of help get his career launched with publicity and everything. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he had probably the worst condition of the top 10 athletes in his class, and he won. Just to tell you.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Wow. Okay. Well, that sounds exciting, mate. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll definitely get him on. If you want to come on with him, you're more than welcome. Obviously, we can, help fill in the gaps with the English, maybe. But
yeah, I'm just telling because you like new, fresh meat, and I'm telling you, this kid.
Not the old rancid meat. We don't like that meat.
I know you. You're always looking for that next thing to talk about, and believe me, that kid is.
Okay. Well, that's we'll definitely get him on for a future episode. But Patrick Tuor, thank you so much for coming on for this intro, mate. And like I said, I always like getting your insights and opinions on, the kind of the topics of the day. Because obviously the Olympia, we've got no shows now. When's the first pro show? I haven't even checked the calendar yet.
I think April, May. I heard like Indy Pro in the US.
Wow. Okay. So
something
we've got
like that.
So we've got a really bit of a drought now for a couple of months
Yeah.
So normally we'd be looking forward to the Arnold next month, and everything else that comes after it. So So okay then, Patrick.
Hopefully we can get vaccinated before then.
Yeah, you've not had it yet.
No, I called my doctor and he said not before June for just normal people. And
okay.
I'm trying to speed up the process, but in Switzerland we're not corrupted, so I'm not getting old or no vaccines.
Okay, well I heard that some people there's some ones that when people aren't turning up, other people are turning up on the off chance and they're getting vaccinated. That's been happening in the UK.
Yeah, but right now they're vaccinating people over 75. I don't think I can say I'm over 75.
Yeah, probably
not yet.
Go party for a few days and that'll then turn up. So, right, okay, then, Patrick. Right, well, always great to catch up, mate. And thank you so much for the time. And we'll hopefully try and meet up at some point in the year because we obviously didn't get to the Olympia, so that was a bit shit, but. So anyway, right then. Okay then, mate. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Patrick. Bye-bye, mate. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On The Rise Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we're joined, New York Pro Champion, 7th place at the Olympia, Iain Valliere. Yay! Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Iain, first of all, mate, I mean, we've just had your coach Patrick Tuor on, and we've been singing your praises, obviously, for the both of you, what you both managed to achieve at the Olympia. Mate, you got 7th place at the Olympia. How do you feel, mate?
Yeah, I mean, it's still obviously a pretty surreal feeling, you know. I mean, coming from 14th the last time I was there in 2018 to move up by basically, you know, I halved that placing, you know. So, you know, just to have everything really line up, you know, with a year that had been kind of full with a bunch of shit, to be honest, you know, like with Tampa, and then New York was, you know, surrounded in a lot of kind of debate, and then, you know, to kind of silence all that and to come with my best at the Olympia and kind of put it all into play right there was, you know, obviously a very special moment for both Patrick and myself, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've spoke before about, it's almost like the curse of the 2018 Olympia. You know, because you look so good, and it was such a talking point. I mean, forget about the placing. You looked, that was like, you've been chasing that look ever since, and it frustratingly kind of missing the mark in 2019, obviously, and then, you know, the Tampa as well, and then you kind of got the New York Pro win, but you still had that kind of, for me, it was still there in the shadows, you know, kind of taunting you a little bit. I think that's how I read it anyway. So Patrick said that you were actually 10 pounds heavier than you were at the 2018 Olympia, but obviously you took your whole conditioning and your whole entire look to a completely new level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so I guess 2018 Olympia, I would have been like low, like 243, 244. I was like low to mid 250s for this Olympia, obviously with better conditioning. I mean, even comparing just to 2019 Tampa, I mean, when me and him did Tampa, I was 242 pounds. So just within that 1 year there, we were, you know, comparable conditioning. I think Tampa Pro 2019 was one of my better packages in terms of conditioning. I think we even improved on the conditioning, and we were still 10, 11 pounds heavier. So, so within the year. So, I mean, you know, we definitely did a lot of good work within the year that I'm very, very proud of. So, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, to have it all come together and, you know, to get the fullness right and the conditioning right and everything at that for that show was obviously a great feeling, right?
I mean, I asked Patrick this same question, but do you think the what happened at Tampa this year, 2020 last year, do you think that really helped figure out the formula for the Olympia?
Yeah, I think they were all kind of stepping stones one to the next. I think, you know, Tampa, we really missed the mark. I mean, I think that one was, we missed the mark by so much that we really learned what not to do more than what to do. And then I think we took a lot of that knowledge into New York, where we got it better, but still not perfect. You know, I think we're like, you know, if we're going from a scale of 1 to 10, I think New York, we were like a 6. Or sorry, Tampa, we were like a 6. And then we got to like a 7.5 or an 8 for New York. And then we're like, okay, now we know exactly what to do, or we think at least exactly what to do. And then we implemented what we learned from those two shows to try and get, you know, my version of a 10 for the Olympia, which I think we achieved basically as close to, you know, perfection for what my physique is capable of at this given moment, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Patrick said, he said, you're not very, he said, you don't take a lot of carbs to fill out. He said, the one thing is, he says, not to cut is water. That's the thing we've learned. Keep the water in, keep the, so what did you do differently for Tampa that you did that you learned for the Olympia? What was it?
Yeah, so like I said, it was all, each one was kind of like a staged one to the next. So we did a little bit different every single time. So where Tampa, you know, we started to reduce the water a bit on the Friday. And then we also utilized a little bit of diuretic the Friday night. So that combination of lowering the water plus then the bit of diuretic, it was just, you know, a complete uphill battle at that point. You know, so when he's saying cut the water, or like don't lower the water, we did that as well as we also flushed water out. So, you know, no, like he said, you know, the carbs isn't really the factor. I mean, because for Tampa, we must have eaten, you know, 900 grams of carbs each day for 2 or 3 days. So, I mean, the carbs were there. But once the water goes, it really makes it hard. So then what we did for New York was we said, okay, let's just do nothing. You know, let's just keep the water in, no diuretics, nothing. So for New York, I did literally nothing.
Oh, wow. Just came in as you are, cruised in.
I just drank complete normal water right through the day of the show, you know, 9-10 liters of water, whatever. I took 0 diuretics. I did nothing of the sort. So we kind of went like one end of the spectrum all the way to the other to kind of find the middle ground, you know? So New York, we did it that way. And then for the Olympia, we're like, okay, well, keeping the water in is definitely a factor. And also, I think we kind of found as well with the food, like Patrick says, is it, it's really getting a good solid base of food built. And it didn't necessarily take a lot of food, but I flattened out a ton overnight. So we want to make sure that we really had that good base of fullness built in. So instead of doing like a typical, Thursday, Friday to carb up for a Saturday show, we started introducing carbs on like Monday or Tuesday, but we introduced them at like a very low level.
Okay. So what point did you feel like, because sometimes like I've done competed, I've woke up in the morning and you're like, yes, I've timed it right with the water and the diuretics and the carbs. And other times it's when you okay?
Sorry, you're cutting out here.
Oh, sorry. Okay. And other times it's like when you're backstage. So what point was it for you when you thought, oh yeah, this is my best ever?
I think I knew the whole week kind of leading into the show that I was at my best. I think, where I was from a body fat muscularity standpoint, I knew that I was definitely at my best. I think when it really, really, really dawned on me was probably the Friday morning. When I woke up that morning, on the Friday morning, the day of the show, and like I had my tan on, I took pictures in that Mickey Mouse bedroom that I posted so many pictures of, and I saw it there, and like my conditioning was like, it had improved significantly since the Thursday night, oversleeping that night. And, I woke up that morning and like, it was first thing in the morning and I was a lot drier and I wasn't flat, which was the biggest thing. It's like, I woke up in the morning and even in the morning I was full. So that was a big thing for me. So I think once I woke up that Friday morning, I think I'd really nailed it at that point.
So, going back to Tampa, because Patrick said he kind of lost control and your body weight was just kind of crashing after the Thursday night. So for the Olympia, was your as you were filling out, was your body weight kind of going up or was it just holding steady?
It did go up. It kind of, so throughout the week, it kind of maintained until I got enough glycogen built up and then it maybe went up a pound or two.
Yeah.
I was basically the same weight really majority of the week. There might have been a day like midweek or something where I was a little heavier, but for the most part, it maintained pretty well. I was in the, 253 to 255 range basically all week. I think at the beginning of the week, I might have been a little heavier after flying and stuff. I think it was like 258, but once that settled down and, any residual water came off from flying the week before, we kind of sat down to that, and then we really stayed there until the day of the show, and it never really dropped below that. Good.
I kind of get the impression that you were hell-bent on improving that readable bicep because you posted a lot of videos and a lot of photos where you were like, I really want to get this pose absolutely nailed now. So at what point did you think, was it when you got that pose, when everything was popping in that pose, was that when you felt like you'd really nailed it?
It was... there was a bunch of, I think when I first landed in, this is for the Olympia, right?
Yes.
Sorry, it keeps cutting out, so I like hear half your question.
Okay, sorry. Right? We'll get through it.
Yeah. So, I think when I first landed there, like before I left, I looked really, really good. And then, obviously you fly. And you hold a little bit of water, and then when I landed, I didn't look quite as good. I was like, oh, I've lost it all. Like you have that fear that like it was too good to be true, and like
oh no,
it just took that one little thing, and you flew and you fucked that all up, and you're not gonna get the look back. When I first landed, I had that like in my mind, but then after one night's sleep, it was completely back there. And then as the week went on, I just in the pictures, I just was progressing at such a perfect rate. Like it was like not like one day I would look a little worse than the next, and the next day I'd look a little better, and it was like it was no flip-flopping. It was like every day I was just like a little better, a little better, a little better, a little better, so every day I just got like a little better and a little better from what we were doing. So we're like, okay, let's just stay the course of exactly what we're doing. And especially from the back shots, I could really see that things were coming in. My glutes were definitely in the best sharpest they've been. And even from my back shots, which are historically a very weak shot for me, I had a lot of good thickness and a lot of good detail, which was something I was, very happy to see. So, it really just, came together all right at the right time.
Also, another thing I've noticed straight when I saw the first picture of you on stage or when I saw the live stream, you for me, that's the best tan you've ever had as well, because I think you've always struggled with your coloring. Like Dennis Wolf up till about 2012, I remember it was the Prague show, and he finally nailed it, and he finally got the formula right. So what did you do differently for that then?
Yeah, so the one thing was obviously I'm very white. Like I'm like James Hall's head white, you know?
Yeah. Like blue.
So a big thing for me is just making sure I have a good base, because with tanning product, when you put too much on top of too much, like you can get dark, but then you start to get like a muddy look and it doesn't look good. So, you know, tanners are always hesitant to put like too much on you because they don't want their work to look bad. They almost would rather you be a little light and not muddy. But like for me as an athlete, you know, being a very light guy, and especially a lot of the top guys being black guys, you know, you want to make sure you're dark, right? So, or the contrast is terrible. So after New York, I thought my color was definitely better in New York than it was in Tampa, but it still needed to be a lot darker and a lot better. I literally tanned every single day.
No, because Tampa, up till you've always had like a sort of you have like a yellowish tinge, but you like for the Olympia there was like a really nice like a pro tan, like a red. Like a reddish, and it really highlighted your condition, because it would have been such a shame for you to peak so perfectly and it'd be like, oh, he's fucked up his tan again, you know. It would have been so disappointing, but I was so happy that you nailed it again, you know, the tan, you know.
So I did use pro tan like you said, and you know, one thing we found is, you know, to start tanning a little earlier. So like obviously having a good base, you know, natural tan, it goes a long way, so you don't need to apply so much product. But instead of like tanning like just Friday, Saturday kind of thing, I might start putting on coats like Wednesday, you know, like put like a coat Wednesday night and then I'll rinse it off, you know, just like a light water rinse just to kind of get the excess off, then do another one Thursday, rinse that off, and then start doing the real stuff Friday, Saturday. So that way it gets like really built and soaked in there, and you can kind of rinse off all the extra kind of muddy stuff. And really get that tan built up. So I think for me, doing it a little more progressively over a few days definitely rendered a good look. And, you know, especially at this show, because I knew that was one thing I'd been criticized for, I really wanted to make sure it was fucking perfect.
Yeah. It was honestly, because I don't think people, unless you've competed, I don't think people realize, like tanning, especially when you're like the last week, that's when you're so focused on how you need to look and what you need to do. And you think sometimes even just standing there is tiring. You know, getting the tan on, even just stood there while somebody paints you, or you're doing it in front yourself. And people don't realize that, you know, if you're doing that over a series of days and washing it off and putting another coat on, it's very, very tiring when you're literally exhausted.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely can be tiring. And, you know, that's why it was honestly kind of better that I did it in stages, you know, like, so I didn't have to stand there and do like 2-3 coats at a time, let one dry. You know? So it's like I do one light coat and then I'd go home, you know? So yeah, the pro tan people were awesome for me. And, you know, they were also very adamant themselves of making sure that my color was 100% spot on, because, you know, they knew I'd been criticized at it after New York, after Tampa. So they really, really wanted to make sure it was good. So they put the extra mile in for me there to make sure it was 100%.
Good. So, I mean, I've, like I said to Patrick, I've written about it in my future column. I've called you the Tier 2 Mr. Olympia. Because
I mean, I almost said a similar thing on Fouad's podcast too. I'm like the best guy of the second group.
Yeah,
the best shitty guy, you know.
But the thing is, But the thing is, there's always kind of two levels. There's always the top 6 Olympia guys, the Bonacks, the Haddis, you know, the Brandons, and they're always pretty much, you might get somebody new cracking in, but there's kind of like 2 separate contests going on. There's the second level guys, there's the newcomers, there's the ones who are looking to move up and who are looking to really nail their condition and really, so you're hitting the ceiling of that next level. So the next step up, I mean, you've won the New York Pro, which is arguably the 3rd or 4th biggest pro show in the world. You've come 7th in the Olympia, which is just 1 spot away from 6th. So, I mean, you're really there. And how old are you now, Iain?
I just turned 30.
You're 30. So, I mean, 30, and you're already knocking on the door at the top level at the Olympia.
Yeah. It's crazy to think. I mean, you know, like from, you know, how last year was kind of, you know, a year kind of like with some positive notes, but also disappointed that I missed the Olympia by 1 point. And, you know, it's kind of like a year that I felt like, you know, like you said before, like I was chasing that 2018 look and trying to chase the Olympia like I was in 2018. You know, so even though I had some good showings and some good placings, like I haven't placed outside of a top 4 in 4 years now, other than Olympia, you know, so like obviously my progression was there, but to miss the Olympia by so little and then, you know, come back this year and, you know, really do what I think I was capable of all along. Just really needed to have the stars align and, you know, find the right combination. I think me and Patrick really found that. So, you know, it was it's just, I mean, the timing couldn't have been better for it, right?
And also beating like the Hunter Labradas, the Justin Rodriguez's. I mean, these guys are really, obviously Hunter had an amazing debut year winning the Tampa. A lot of people were talking about him making top 6, and he was only a few spots away. Justin Rodriguez, who made absolute strides last year. It must feel good, really sort of placing ahead of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd be lying if I said that beating Hunter wasn't very important to me.
Well, it was, because he won Tampa. You got 7th at Tampa. Yeah. You kind of, because I wrote about it in my column, and I said I'm really looking forward to seeing Hunter against Iain at the Olympia to see who falls where.
Yeah, no, and I know that's me and Hunter match up very well in a lot of ways, but also have a lot of differences. And obviously he. I was second in Tampa, very deservedly. I mean, Hunter was much better than me in Tampa, so I mean, I have no arguments there.
Yeah.
But I knew in my like heart of hearts that I was capable of a lot more than Tampa, obviously.
Yeah.
So I wanted my second crack at that for sure. So it was when I got off stage, it's funny, I've told the story, like when I got off stage, because they didn't tell us our placings right away, right?
Okay.
Like they only announced the top 5 on stage this year. They didn't do the top.
I didn't realize, because normally it's top 10. They go from 10th to 1st, don't they?
Yeah, so they usually give everyone their top 10 on stage. They only did top 5 this year.
Oh, shit.
So I was like, okay, well, I know I'm in the top 10 because I was in the middle of that call out with like, Hunter and Dexter and Justin. So
yes.
I'm somewhere in the, 7, 8, 9, 10 range.
Yeah.
And in my mind, like looking at the photos after prejudging, I was like, I was very confident I had the 7th place. But you never know, your mind starts racing.
Yeah, you're kind of hoping for the best, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe Hunter was better in this shot, or maybe they actually have Dexter all the way in 7th, and we're all like 8, 9, 10, or maybe just, you start like thinking of these scenarios that could possibly happen. So
yeah, I
got off stage and I was trying to find any judge I could. And, I find one judge, but the funny thing is with the judges, they really only knew where they had scored you.
Okay.
They don't see the entire picture necessarily unless they're like one of the head judges, right? So
yeah,
I was like, do you know where I placed? Like I want to, and they're like, oh, it'll be up online later. Like I know where I placed you. I had you in 7th or whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But they didn't know the whole picture. They just know where they specifically had scored you. So then I was like, oh fuck, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to go out and enjoy that evening with my family unless
No. So when did you find it? When did you realize though? When did you find out?
Well, this is the thing. So it was bothering me so much. And like, I went back and, found my family,
yeah.
We all said the, hugs and, congratulations and all that kind of stuff. And everyone was asking me where I placed. And I was like, I don't know yet, So then my buddy Julian, who's my training partner, he was like, well, let's go back there and find fucking Steve or Tyler or one of these guys. And let's just ask them. I'm like, they're all in the press pit because Ramy had just won. It's a big hoo-ha back there, So he's like, fuck it, man. Let's just go. So we walk back to the backstage and I see Steve and Tyler, like they were having a conversation with, these guys. And then I saw them like turn away for a minute. So I'm like, this is my opportunity. So I walk in there and I'm just like to Tyler. I go to Tyler. I'm like, hey man, I don't know if this is like against the rules or if I got to wait for this to come out later. I'm like, I just need to know where I placed here. Like I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night unless I know right now, and obviously a lot of that was, I want to know if I beat Hunter too,
Of course. No, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big thing.
Storyline.
Yeah. Of course it was.
So Tyler was like, oh, we had you tied after prejudging, and I don't know where you. I didn't see where the total scores were at night. And then Steve Weinberger piped up and he was like, you were a definitive 7th at night, so you were 7th. I was like, oh, and that was like the biggest weight off my shoulders.
Oh.
That moment there was like my Olympia win, that was just like, oh, it felt so good to like, all that was just done, like I got everything I wanted out of that Olympia and more, and just to have it kind of like all settled right there, I was like, oh, such a relief,
Yeah, and also you kind of, I mean, I know he was on it was his last year, but I mean, to say, even to beat like someone like Dexter Jackson, who only a year before, 2019, you'd placed 3rd to at the Tampa, surely that felt good as well. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, like you said, I mean, obviously he wasn't, 2008 Dexter or anything, but I mean, he was still, he's still Dexter Jackson. He's still one of the greatest all time. And, to at least have one on him before he retired obviously felt good to, say to my kids in 20 years, like, I beat Dexter once.
I beat him, Mr. Olympia. Yeah.
What he looked like or how old he was is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure, it was, it's a cool thing to have, on the resume. And, I was really happy I beat a lot of good guys at the show. So, and a couple guys like Hunter and Dexter that I hadn't beat before. So, to kind of feel, like there's one thing to place well in a show when I potentially was beating guys that I'd already beaten. Like, you know, if I showed up in the show and Hunter and Dexter weren't there, let's say, and I beat, you know, Justin, and I beat, you know, Antoine, and beat all these guys. Well, I've already beat all these guys, you know? So, like, to me, it wouldn't like a significant stepping stone. You know, it's like, yeah, my physique is clearly improved, but, you know, to see it like in the lineup compared against guys that have beaten me before and to then come and beat them. Yeah. That was something that really kind of like, you know, signified that move up for me, you know?
I mean, to nail your condition, your fullness, your tan, your everything, every single element, and to take some new scalps at the Olympia. I mean, that's a drop the mic moment for 2020.
Yeah, that was definitely an awesome moment. I mean, you know, I mean, the pressure's higher now going into 2020.
Oh, shit. Top 6 now, mate. Top 6.
But that's good. I look forward to it, and you know, I had some plans for the next year, and I mean, I'm excited to get this year started. So
good. Well, Patrick said you're interested in winning the Toronto.
Yeah, so that's always been a big goal of mine. I mean, you know, it's something that has like kind of like a nostalgia and kind of like a sentimental factor. Obviously, being a Canadian. You know, it's like my New York Pro for like these guys like Juan or,
of course. No, I understand that. I understand
or
that.
Victor or John, these kind of guys, like it's like they're New York. So there is some kind of, you know, like pride in winning that show as a Canadian.
Yeah.
And also it was like, that was also the first pro show I ever attended, because when I was an amateur, that's a pro-am. So they have an amateur show there as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did the amateur show in like 2011 when I was like a kid, you know, and that was the first time I ever saw a pro bodybuilding show or saw pro bodybuilders in person. You know, and that was also, you know, the first time I cracked a top 5 in my rookie year was at the Toronto Pro. So, you know, I did the show in 2019. I was second to John. Was definitely not one of my better showings. So, you know, this is the year that I think I'm finally ready to, you know, I mean, obviously it depends who shows up at the show, but I think no matter who shows up at this point, I think I can give anybody a run for their money. So, you know, that's a show that I really, really want to get, you know, under my belt for sure.
It's another tick off the list, isn't it? It's another tick off the, you know, the career list.
Like New York is obviously cool, and you get the ring, and there's some cool things, but you know, being the Canadian bodybuilder and you know, being right now the best Canadian bodybuilder, you know, obviously I want to win all the Canadian bodybuilding shows. So, you know, Toronto and Vancouver and these kind of things, I want to have titles under my belt. Just, you know, I think the best Canadian needs to win the best Canadian shows, right? So, you know, that's something that definitely means a lot to me. So Toronto will be, probably first on the docket this year, I think. Yeah.
Good. Well, it's like the British Grand Prix. I mean, that was mostly taken up by British. I mean, obviously with the travel restriction, but I mean, there's a real sense of pride in being the best in the UK. You know, so being the best at the Vancouver and the Toronto, I can understand is a huge deal for you, especially after you've won a big show like the New York Pro.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, you know, I think after the Olympia and after the season, I did definitely solidify my place as the top Canadian, but you know, to do it on Canadian soil as well, and just to go in there and win a Canadian show as the premier Canadian bodybuilder, I think that's just like, I just got to put my like stamp on it, you know? So that's like the final one for me, you know. Toronto more than Vancouver. You know, Vancouver is a newer show and it doesn't have quite the sentimental value to me, but down the road, it'll definitely be something I'll take my crack at as well. And, you know, it's historically been a very difficult show, Vancouver. I mean, the 2 years I did it, I mean, you know, 2018 when I did it, I mean, that was the year when we had like Justin Rodriguez and Lucas, and, you know, and then last year or 2019 when I did that was like Hottie and Nathan. Like, there's been some crazy lineups at that show. Yeah. So if it continues that way, I think that would be one I'd like to win, just because I see it as maybe a little more difficult of a show historically. So, but yeah, Toronto first. I'll get that one knocked down first, and then we'll go from there. So
now, your 7th place aside, unbelievable job what you did with Chris Bumstead, mate. Do you know what? I'll be honest, right? I've written about this as well. I didn't think Chris was overrated, but I wasn't. You weren't sold. I wasn't that blown away by him. Even when he won the Olympia the first year, I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up like I did when I had you on about, you know, I saw the high resolution pictures from the New York Pro and the pose down footage. I'll hold my hands up. Like, when I saw him come out by himself on the live stream, it was a real holy shit moment. I was like, that comparison picture of his back rear double bicep, it not just doesn't look like, it doesn't even look like the same person. It doesn't, genetic,
it looks like 5 years has happened.
No, it doesn't even look like the same person. It looks like two different bodybuilders. That's one of the most incredible things I've seen for a long time, because I couldn't believe how he brought up his back, how he brought up his arms, his conditioning. I'm a Bumstead believer now, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy. I mean, he had a really good year of work, and
incredible.
With having his autoimmune disease, obviously, when you have a year when you're not fighting against your body at all, like he had a really good, clean bill of health this year.
Good.
And it just really goes to show, when you're not fighting against yourself, how much you can accomplish, right? So, but I'll be honest. I mean, I knew he was going to win the show at 6, 8, 10 weeks out. I mean, when I saw where his physique was at, there's no amount of money I wouldn't have bet. Like, you see it,
100%.
You're not bodybuilding, these bodybuilding groups on Facebook and Instagram, and people make the predictions, and I would have bet my home that he would have won the show. I was that confident for what I was seeing at that point. I knew he had won in 2019 with far less, and I knew how much better he was, and there was just absolutely no doubt in my mind that he was going to steamroll the show like he did.
Oh, mate, that front when he came out by himself in the the individuals. I was watching the live stream, and he hit the front of a bicep. My jaw just dropped. I was like, holy shit, that doesn't even. I mean, just the lines, because for what I saw in the pictures in the lead up, he was kind of growing into the show, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like for Chris, with the autoimmune, like you don't want to push it too early or too much in the year, right? Like you really want to save the roll of the dice till the time that it matters, which is your Olympia prep. So, for most of the year, we really keep things really dialed back. I mean, he doesn't push the food. He doesn't really take any anabolics. Like it's very, very muted 99% of the year. We really just give her for the Olympia, right? And by give her, it's still like very, very conservative at that, so, I mean, obviously, when you have a very, very fresh, healthy physique going into that, from kind of a, down state, and you fire into an Olympia prep, there's a lot of opportunity for growth. And, he teamed up with a really good training partner, this kid called Axel, this prep as well. So that, they beat the shit out of each other every week. So I think that that was, paid dividends for him as well. So I think, the combination of the training and being healthy, I think, for him, it was just all the factors, were really perfect this year. I mean, his training was definitely, I think, what made the biggest impact, but you can't do it when you're fighting against an unhealthy body, right? So it's kind of one needed to do the other, right?
Because I remember we had a conversation. It was literally, we all stood up after the prejudging at the classic, the 2019, the first year he won. And you told me, and I said, what's happened to his back? His back seems to have like really withered away, sort of thing. And you were like, you were explaining about the disease and how. And I'll be honest, I wasn't completely sold at the time. And obviously, seeing that now, that his body's now healthy and everything's just popping now. It's just, and the fact that he was actually the current. He was the reigning Olympia champion, and coming in, I mean, you must have been so confident coming in. I mean, it must have been, like you said, 6 weeks out, you're like, look, no one is beating him.
Yeah, no, I think, obviously, you have, like I said, even for myself, you have moments where you're like, maybe, but, as a whole, we were so confident going into the show. I mean, I saw things in this physique, at 4, 5, 6 weeks out from a conditioning standpoint that I didn't see till like the day of the show in 2019.
Wow. Okay.
And it was that plus then, so much more. Like, even though he was only, 3 or 4 pounds heavier this year, the look of muscularity was just completely different. I mean, it was like, I don't know if it's a year more of hard training and just his age, because he's young and he got a little more density and maturity under there. Or just because he was healthier and, we didn't have to push the diet down so hard. Like in previous years, because of his autoimmune, he holds a lot of fluid, like it's, a kidney autoimmune. So he gets a lot of edema. So,
right.
These years we'd really have to push the diet hard, because it's very hard to decipher at certain points, like what's water and what's body fat,
Yeah.
So we would, this year though, when you could really see everything going on with the physique right from the outset, we really had a lot more room to play with, trying to hold on to the muscularity and hold on to the fullness in terms of, as opposed to just pushing down hard and hoping for the best,
Yeah. Like Patrick, I suppose with you, like the satisfaction he says he feels now to know that he brought you in. He said you couldn't have been 1% better. He said you couldn't have been any better. It must be so satisfying for you as Chris's coach to know that you've peaked him and brought him. I mean, literally he, like Rami, like Sean Clarida, he completely shocked everyone.
Yeah, no, obviously there's definitely a sense of accomplishment in it for sure. The biggest thing is obviously for me is just, me and Chris are family, right? Like, I mean, he's my brother-in-law, and for me, to see him, and I know after last year, it was like a very divided crowd, like he did win, but a lot of people still thought Brayon should have won because he was so much more dominant in the back shots. And, it was a very kind of split decision on that. And, they did split points. So, it just felt really good for me to see him like really just put that all behind him, and in his own mind, I mean, not like in the crowd or the, naysayers or anything. Any doubt that he had in his own mind, to see that kind of put to bed just felt very rewarding for me, just that he deserved to be a champion last year, and that he is the greatest in this division. And I think he will be as long as he chooses to be, just to see that, that doubt disappear from his mind after this year was, I think, probably the most rewarding feeling. Yeah.
So after he came off stage, after you'd found out you definitely got 7th, I mean, you must have, Saturday night, you three must have been feeling pretty good. Yeah,
it was awesome for sure. I mean, then we went, me, Chris, and Courtney and Melissa went and spent a week in Mexico after that and enjoyed it.
Oh, nice.
Had a little vacation. So, it was much deserved at that point, I think. So it was good. We all got to just relax and enjoy that moment together, and, kind of that whole prep that we had kind of worked together, the 4 of us. So, it was definitely a special week and a special moment. Next, we just got to get Melissa back up there to, get back up that Olympia stage show.
Come on, Melissa. I know you're listening. I know you're watching. I know you're in the background there somewhere.
Yeah, she'll be back up there this year, 100%. So
oh, really?
We'll get her back up there. Oh, yeah, for sure. She'll be back, probably sometime like July, August, she'll be on stage. So,
fantastic.
And she's definitely improved a lot too, so I'm excited to see her get back up there. And
good.
It'd be nice to have a 2018 repeat where all 3 of us are at the Olympia, but all three of us in the top 10 or higher, instead of when we did it in 2018, I think Melissa was 12th, I was 14th, and Chris was 2nd.
Yeah.
Now we'll have Chris win, I'll get in the top 7 again, and Melissa will be up in the top 10 too. So
no, you'll be in top 6. That's a step up, because it's all about the progression. But what a progression you've made this year. It's just like I said, I bet 2019 was a bit of a frustrating year for you, and then 2020 it got to Tampa, and you lost control of your condition, and you were flattening out, and then you kind of pulled it back for New York. Then you went to the Olympia, and every single element was absolutely to a T. It must have been a nice feeling at the end of the year for you,
Yeah, it was good, and I think that's kind of how you hit the nail on the head there. Like, I think because of the journey, it made it that much more rewarding.
Yeah.
Like if I showed up at Tampa and I was 100%, and I blew the doors off Hunter, and then I show up at the Olympia and I came 7th. It wouldn't have been the same storyline,
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I had that hard 2019 where I missed it by 1 point.
Yeah.
And then, it was like training in home gyms and all this nonsense for this year. And then, kind of had that, very underwhelming, start to the season with Tampa, and then won New York, but it was, a lot of controversy around that. And, there was a lot of debate and stuff like that, which, I understand that happens. And then to just, have it all progress right into the show, like the biggest show, just was, really cool. And so,
yeah,
it's, I know that, I'm not expecting that I'll show up at the Olympia and come 7th again next year. I know that the, lineups change and things like this, but, I think the thing that matters to me the most was that the physique we brought was something that I was very, very proud of, and I think, whether I'd been 7th or 10th or 11th or whatever, I knew in my heart that was, like Patrick said, that I couldn't have been any better than that,
Yeah, you've said this before, and I picked up on this, that you're more concerned about how you look than rather where you place. I think you get more satisfaction from knowing that you nailed it. Like, if you'd have looked like how you looked at Tampa but won it, I don't think you'd have been as satisfied, because you said before when I spoke to you before, you said you definitely care more about how you look. And, the fact that you did your job and you did everything kind of fell into place. I think that's what I pick up from you.
Because placing's so subjective, and it's also it depends there, right? Where the look is completely the controllable thing in my way of gauging progression. So, the look, like some of my best looks that I'm the most proud of were actually my lowest places showings.
Oh, wow.
So 2018 or 2019 Vancouver, which I think are some of my best looks, both years, 2019 or 2018. I placed 4th in both those shows, which is the lowest I've placed since 2016.
Yeah.
So even though my placings were lowest, I left those stages feeling 100% fulfilled, and I knew the lineups, when you have Nathan and Hottie and these guys in the show, I don't feel bad losing to Nathan or Hottie, especially when I knew I brought my 100%. So, but then in juxtaposition to that, like the new Toronto Pro 2019 or Tampa Pro, I actually placed second in both those shows, but those were two of my worst showings. So
okay, yeah, well, I suppose because some people will gauge you or measure you by where you place in what show and stuff like that. But you're quite different with your approach.
Yeah, so but it goes to show right there. The Toronto and the Tampa placing second, that the look was not even close to what it was at, say, those two Vancouver showings, but the placing was higher, so I don't take pride in the placing because it's relative, it's so relative to who's there and all this kind of thing. Obviously at the Olympia, I take a little more pride in that because it's like, okay, you're seventh in the world and that is like the show of shows, so like everyone's really there.
Yeah, that's how you're ranked.
Yeah, but at the other ones, the look is really what I take the most pride in, and if, like you'd said, if Tampa, if I'd somehow won that show with that look, I would have been very dissatisfied and I probably would have done New York anyways.
Yeah. Just so you could look as good as you could look.
Yeah, I wouldn't have felt good going into the Olympia being that as my last showing, and I think that I would have not had the same kind of momentum that I had after winning New York, going in a little more buzz.
Yeah.
And I also think my confidence level wouldn't have been the same, thinking that was what my physique was capable of at the time, because I knew I was capable of more. So I needed to kind of grow into that a bit more before the Olympia, just to have that, mind state,
Good. Right. So finally, so you want to do Toronto, which is what, July, August? When is that?
Yeah, it's end of August, the 21st, yeah.
Now, the Arnold, they're saying they're putting it back to September, and you obviously want to go back to the Olympia. You've won the New York Pro, which is arguably the third biggest pro show in the world. What's the plans? Are you going to go do the Arnold well, tell us.
Yeah. So,
I'm just trying to lead you into this now.
Yeah, so, I've said this, and I was kind of up in the air with the Arnold because I'd heard it was June. I'd also heard it's September. So I said if it was June, I wouldn't do it because I want to do Toronto first. And if it was September, I said I would do it. So as of September, I got to kind of hold man to my word. So we'll see. But I think, in previous years, it really hadn't been something super big on my radar because I thought until I was at the point of potentially being in the first call out of an Arnold, I didn't think it was a ton of point at it. I think a 7th place at the Olympia is comparable to 100%. A top 5, top 6 at the Arnold.
That's really, that puts you in top 5 and arguably even a top 3. If you keep that momentum going and keep the improvements coming, that's where you'll be expected to kind of come in, and you'll certainly be, if you're looking good. I would be very shocked if you weren't first call out.
Yeah, so that's, before previous years, when I'd come 14th at the Olympia, I didn't really see a whole lot of value in doing an Arnold for me at this point to come 8th or 10th or something like that.
Okay.
I think I'm at the point now in my career where it's something that I might, be interested in to do and to entertain that might have some positive benefits, to the trajectory of my career. So
do it.
We'll do Toronto first and see how that goes. And, I think, I can win. I'm very capable of winning Toronto. So if we get the Toronto win locked down, then, I'd like to do the Arnold after that for sure. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to lay out your plan for you. You've got to win Toronto. You've got to be first call out at the Arnold, and then you've got to be top 6 Olympia. There you go. That's your target.
Okay. That'd be
totally sorted.
That'll be a good year. I'll be happy with that. Yeah.
Okay. All right then, Iain. This has been absolutely fantastic, mate. Like I said, I was just buzzing for you and Patrick because it was such a nice, it was amazing to see you just like halve your placing, go from 14th to 7th, taking out. Like I said, I was really excited to see how you and Hunter would stand next to each other. You beat Dexter, you beat Justin Rodriguez. It was a real, and you just looked absolutely amazing, mate. You've really leveled up now. So it's like I said, you're smashing through to that ceiling of the next level now. So it's a lot more eyes are on you now than they were in the last couple of years. And that's only a good thing.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited, and I think the pressure is a good thing. To have that expectation going into Toronto this year is something that I thrive to exceed. It's not like I'm not like, oh God, there's so much pressure. It's like, okay, I know there is, and I also think that the look that I did for this Olympia, I think is very replicatable. I don't think we did anything like super shot in the dark, like, shooting darts blind, where it was like, wow, we just happened to get it right. Like, we knew exactly what we did, and we can 100% replicate that again. I don't think that was any like just magic circumstance that lined up like that. I think we knew exactly what we were doing. So I think, that's something that we can take that intel going forward. And I think mastering this look will be a lot simpler going forward. And I think just to continue to improve, my back and my chest and, the areas that need to, and then, obviously when the time comes to implement what we've learned from a peaking standpoint, I think it'll be a good year in 2021 for sure.
Just keep doing what you're doing, mate. That's the only thing, really. That's literally just because you're on the right path now, mate. You're going from there to there. So it's all about progression. It's all about, exceeding your previous best. And you've certainly done that in 2020, mate. So I'm really excited for what you're going to bring in 2021.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
All right, then, Iain, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Iain. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On the Rise Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined by the new Women's Physique Olympia champion, Sarah Villegas. Yay! Come on, Sarah, clap. You got to clap. You're the Olympia champion.
Yes, I am. How are y'all today?
Sarah, I'm very, very good, Sarah. Happy New Year as well, of course.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, Sarah, it just said on my my Skype there, so we chatted over a year ago. This was, I think, it was just after you'd taken second at the Olympia. Now, obviously, we'll talk about the Olympia in a minute, but I was really, really rooting and really excited for you to do the Arnold Classic back in March, and then you had to pull out. I remember seeing on your Instagram, I was like, no, you had to pull out 1 week before. What happened there? What was the story behind that?
It was just one of those weird things. I just pulled my groin. I was training legs, and I really don't even know what happened, but I had a groin pull, and you give it a day and two of rest, and I tried to work through it, and it was just one of those things where it really just needed time. That close to the prep, you're doing cardio, you're doing a lot of posing, obviously you're doing training, and it was, I'll be honest, it was devastating. That was the first time in my life where I was not able to do something that I wanted to. So it was, it was really upsetting, and I was teetering, and maybe I can do it, maybe I can't. Okay, just in that limbo of like, you really want to push through and you want to do it, but then facing obviously the reality of your body and the physical limitations of, like I said, I think I probably could have done it, but I would not have been 100%. And, for me, I'm never going to present myself less than 100%. Yeah. And it was, it was a difficult decision. But, that's what happened. It was just one of those things where I was in a position where I needed time to let it rest, and I just didn't have that time.
So how many days out did this happen from the Arnold Classic?
Oh, gosh. I want to say it was maybe like 2, maybe almost 3 weeks. So, in the 20 to 15 day kind of range, it was very, very close, but still far enough out to where there's a lot of work to be done. You can't just sit on the couch and, not do cardio and not do posing and things like that. So it was just bad timing.
So do you think if it been like, say, 1 week out, you maybe could have just coasted through and done it maybe? Or do you think the outcome would have still been the same?
Say that one more time.
So if it happened like, say, 5 or 6 days out, do you think you could have just coasted through and did it? Or I suppose it doesn't really matter now, does it?
I think probably, because at that point, your training is a little bit different at that point as far as like weight. Obviously cardio is different, but again, like you said, I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. But it was really, really unfortunate, really upsetting.
So you pulled out the Arnold Classic, then obviously the COVID thing, because that really hit. The COVID whole situation for me really exploded on that week of the Arnold Classic when I was out in Columbus. So what was the year after the groin injury? How long did that take to kind of get better?
I would say maybe a couple weeks, like maybe about 4 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks. So it really wasn't. It didn't really, hinder me too much. And I was, thankfully I was able to just give myself the rest that I needed. And so, it really wasn't too much of a hindrance. It was just right at the worst time. Yeah.
Oh, it's just, I think because I always say, because I've competed many times, and I think when it gets to that 4 week out mark, it goes from a physical game to a mental game, and anything that takes you off your game at 4 weeks out in, towards the show, I think really it's gonna affect you physically and mentally, for competing.
Absolutely, yes, 100%.
Yeah. So when was the whole game plan for the Olympia kind of put together? When did you really feel like you really wanted to get stuck into your prep for the Olympia, given we had the COVID situation?
Honestly, it was right after the Arnold. Even coming off of stage of last year's Olympia, second place, huge accomplishment, something to be proud of. And I told you this after last year. I was like, okay, what do we do to go back? I'm getting first next year.
Nice.
So and obviously when I wasn't able to do the Arnold, like I said, I gave myself a couple weeks afterwards to really get rested. But it was just like back at it, and at that point we didn't know that it was going to be pushed out all the way to December. So I pretty much was, 100% Olympia 2020, all, the entire year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was, and then obviously when it was pushed back, so there were adjustments that were made along the way, but I was, laser focused pretty much immediately.
So you've been pretty much close to, it reminds me a bit of like Hunter Labrada, where like the New York Pro was put back and then the Olympia was put back. And it means that you've been on, because if you were ready for the Arnold Classic a couple of weeks out when you had your groin injury, that means then you would have been prepping, like you said, all of 2020.
Pretty much, yes. Now, I wasn't necessarily like dieting the whole year. We were very methodical about, allowing yourself, time to grow and adjusting the training and the diet and things like that accordingly. But it was all eggs in one basket, just leave nothing behind, let's just get that Olympia. So
yeah, I think given that you're the runner-up last year, what happened with the Arnold and a true champion's mindset, they're going to be really fired up and really confident going into the 2020 Olympia. So yeah, what a year, man. So now, how does it feel? Now, it sounds like a really kind of lame question, but how does it feel now you've actually won the Miss Olympia? I mean, the 2020 Olympia, given everything you've been through this year with the injury and having to come out, and how does it feel? I just want to know,
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what you said, it's a silly question, it's a silly answer. I mean, it just it feels great. I'm very, very happy. Ollie and I worked very, very hard for this, the whole year and the prep. And so it's something, obviously, it's the ultimate goal, and you put everything into it, all of your efforts, all your energy, all your time, all your resources. And it's just when you get it and you finally you get that gold medal, you're like, wow, okay, it was all worth it. And it's just, such a great feeling. You can't even put it into words.
I think kind of like Sydney Gillen in the figure, I think for many of us, we kind of thought that Shanique was completely unbeatable. I think many of us in the industry were like, look, she's just going to keep winning until she does a Lee Haney or a Ronnie Coleman and says, right, okay, I'm done. I've won 7-8 now. So you didn't just win the Olympia, but you beat someone that many of us thought was actually unbeatable in the women's physique. So how does that feel?
I just think that makes this win even sweeter because, we all hear the same things. And like you said, there were a lot of prominent figures in the bodybuilding community, a lot of media outlets within the community that were even, going so far as to kind of say, oh, the conversation is, between second place and sixth place. And, we know who's competing. So talk to us about, what you're going to do after your win, and kind of, unofficially declaring her this winner before the show even took place. And, for those of you guys who are watching and who were there in the audience, they posed us. They did, almost a dozen times, and it was a split decision. But, it's like you said, you didn't just win the world title, but you kind of, you took out this person who was, had this narrative painted around them that that nobody can come close to them. So, and for me, excuse me, it just, it also, I think it's a true testament to show people that, hard work, persistence, just consistency, it really, it does pay off, and you really can achieve and accomplish things through your work ethic and all of that.
I think as a bodybuilding fan, as a media guy or whatever, I think when you take out, like say Brandon Curry, people said, oh, it was a weak year, he won it. It's like, I think when you go in and you actually beat someone that is the reigning, dominating champion, I think it's almost kind of like a double victory from my point of view, certainly anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. It is, kind of like everything we just said. She is, going into the Olympia, I knew what I was up against. She is a 2-time champion. But, you just and I've said this before, and I'm pretty well known for not being well known on the social media or very active and, putting myself out there the way that maybe other people do. Yeah. But you put your nose to the ground, you set out a plan, you put out steps, you execute, and, it all pays off. It
certainly paid off, yeah. So at what point did you feel like, shit, I think they're going to give it to me? Because I always ask athletes, they go, it was when they moved me in the center at this point in the prejudging that I thought, oh, they're really picking me as the winner here.
So, well, I was going to finish your sentence, but you finished it differently. So
sorry.
We're at night. No, we were at night, and they had announced all the way up to the 3rd place.
Yeah.
And then they announced us to both come to the center, and I thought to myself, okay, I think I'm going to get it. And then, of course, they say, okay, bring up the presenters. It's feels like the longest, 2 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
And then in those 2 minutes, I was I don't even know what I was thinking. I was just kind of blank, waiting, hoping for my name, waiting. And then, obviously they said my name, and it was just, really overwhelming with emotion. So.
Sorry, Sarah, we just had a bit of a connection issue there. So, yeah, now you're the Olympia champion. What's next for you now then?
Well, being crowned as an Olympia champion, that is a huge responsibility in and of itself. One thing that I was pleasantly surprised with, I was not expecting the amount of just positive feedback from, I've received, thousands of direct messages from a lot of WPD girls or girls who want to start competing.
Yeah.
And just, giving me lengthy messages about their story and how they're very inspired by me. And so it really kind of set in the fact that, being an Olympia champion, you are quite a role model to a lot of people. And so, I want to just make sure that I represent the category in a really, positive and uplifting way. And, remembering that responsibility that now you're in a position where people genuinely look up to you. They respect you. They receive things that you do and that you say, and they echo those things. So just making sure that I'm, using this platform responsibly, and like I said, in a way that's very, very positive. And then, of course, I'm coming back for number 2.
Yes.
I'm training as if the Olympia is tomorrow. We don't know exactly when it might be, but like I said, I'm back in the gym. Like I said, nose to the ground, training like it's tomorrow.
So is there no way you might consider doing the Arnold Classics, given that you had to, that maybe there's a bit of unfinished business there, or is it all Olympia for you?
It's definitely a possibility, but it would have to serve the purpose of the Olympia. And I think I mentioned that to you last year. Depending on when the timing is, but the ultimate goal for me obviously is to come back and get another Olympia title. But it's not completely off the table, so we'll just we'll have to see.
Well, I've heard, they say now it was May, then it might be mid-June, and then I've heard that it might even be pushed back to September, the Arnold Classic, and, with the Olympia. So, if it's pushed back to September, then I don't know. Well, I don't know. That's a long old prep. After 2020, prepping all year, I think that's a bit of to get in condition for September, and then again, the Olympia, you don't want to be burnt out by the time you get to the Olympia.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
It's definitely something, like I said, I was heartbroken when I was not able to compete last year. So it's certainly something that I, definitely want to do. I just, we'll have to see where it falls in.
What was your thoughts on the new venue in Orlando? Did you like it? And do you think they'll keep it there?
I'm not sure if they'll keep it there. I thought it was, I thought it was great. I think it's nice having everything on one, and I know that they were trying to do that with the Planet Hollywood, keeping everything kind of all together under the same roof. I think that makes it a lot easier both for the fans and from an athlete perspective. So, we'll see where they keep it next year, but I definitely like having everything, all in one place for sure.
Yeah. I heard it was very hard to get decent food there, which is very important.
It is very important, but I bring my own food, so I didn't know. I have like 2 suitcases shipped there with food, so it's pretty boring. A bunch of Ziploc bags and chicken. So
yeah. So who's your coach at the moment, Sarah?
My coach is my husband, Ollie. He has been my coach throughout my entire career. So my first contest was in 2016. That was my very first NPC show.
4 years.
He was my coach then, and he's been my coach ever since. And just since you brought it up, that's one thing that I feel like I'm very blessed and very fortunate because, and I'm not going to do justice with my words and how I express this, but he is just incredibly knowledgeable about nutrition, about exercise, about the human body, how we, react to training and to food. And, that's one thing that makes my prep so much easier, is that when it comes to conditioning and, those last, kind of several weeks right before stage, I have to do nothing. It's just I execute. He has this like master plan that's very like specific and to the T. And I always say I have the easy job. I just have to do it. I just have to get up on stage and pose. He's the one that's doing all of the the kind of technical elements of everything. So I'm very blessed in that regard. But yeah, he's been my coach ever since, and he still is today. So
I would imagine his phone's going crazy with people wanting to be prepped by him now. Surely, I mean, I know your phone's going crazy, but I imagine now the word's out that he's prepping you. I think his profile's going to raise. Surely.
Yes, his phone has been just about as busy as mine has been. Good. Oh, that's fantastic. Good. Okay, then. Well, I just wanted to get you on a little bit of an update. And, I was just, good thing about your conditioning is always so consistent. That's what I like to see. I love to see that consistent conditioning. And it was so nice to see that you were rewarded for that, It was just amazing. It was amazing. So what did you watch the men's at all, or did you? I did watch a little bit of men's, but I want to backtrack. I take that as a very big compliment. That's, that's a badge of honor in my world of, being known for not only my conditioning, but my consistent conditioning and, my level of, I guess, precise and pleasing conditioning. Yeah. And again, I attribute all of that to Ali. Like I said, he's got a very, drawn out plan for that. But I love hearing that my conditioning is always spot on and very consistent.
Well, I'm a conditioning freak. It's the one thing I always look for, and it's the one thing I always expect, whether it be men or women. And I think, like you said, it's the consistency. I mean, you can see, sometimes you see competitors, they'll get it right once, and then they jump coaches, or they just, it's just up and down. And I like to see consistent conditioning. And the thing is, you still look so, like, you didn't look all drawn and gaunt and like on death's door in the face. You look great in the face, and you look healthy. You look great. Your skin was thin. It was tight. You're full. Just everything. It was such a good look for an Olympia champion.
Thank you. Yeah, and and I mean, I'm sure Ali can probably tell you better about this, but conditioning is kind of this like term that we use to kind of paint a brush over everything. But there's really more than just. It's not just conditioning. You have leanness, and then you have your dryness and your graininess. Yeah. And so that's one thing that he's very adamant about, of like, okay, you have your body fat and reducing your body fat down to where it's as low as it can be. I mean, you don't want any body fat, and that's across any category. And then you have the water manipulation, and that affects graininess or hardness and things like that. And so finding like the right balance of that, and being very intentional about having, pleasing striations, yet still like a fullness in the muscle, fullness in the muscle bellies, but not having this very kind of strained look as far as your face and things like that. So
yeah. Good. So also you've said about, you're not the most active on social media. I mean, I see your posts all the time. Are you looking to make any developments with that, with any sort of YouTube or anything? Now the Olympia champion, you're going to really capitalize on that for the following year?
Yeah, so we have a couple things lined up. And like you said, I have been more active as far as like posting on my Instagram and things like that. You know, so one thing that's happened throughout the year of 2020 through COVID is that, so we have our business, AFS Premier Fitness, which is the transformation program where we do, you know, nutrition plus personal training along with body composition scanning, you know, DEXA and InBody 5, you know, and InBody 570. So we have that element of the business, which we've had running for several years now, but we recently acquired a 50,000 square foot property.
Wow.
So
50,000.
It's been, you know, and again, even other testaments. So while all of this is going on, Ollie still, you know, has the time to prep me and make sure I'm, you know, posing and all this kind of stuff. So even just another, you know, way to kind of praise him for that. But so we've acquired that. So we're gonna do some things to incorporate, you know, my, you know, this year's Olympia with, you know, things for the gym. And so we have a couple of things lined up. And I'm really excited. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
The thing is, I always like to see when someone gets a big win and a big title. Obviously, there's a lot of, you know, a lot of focus and a lot of attention is on you. It's like when I look at what Brandon Curry did, like from the very first day he became Mr. Olympia, he was on it. He was building supplement ranges and gym franchises, and you could see that the whole year they had the whole year planned that they were going to maximize every opportunity given that they had that Olympia title. And I'd like to see people really jump on it, you know. So, and also 50,000 square feet. When I was 15, I went to a 20,000 square foot world gym in Rhode Island, Providence, and it was the biggest gym I'd ever been to. So I'm just trying to imagine how big 50,000 square feet is. That's huge.
Yes, it's definitely a big project, but you know, and it's super exciting.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, just really trying to, and as I mentioned before, you know, use this platform and use this opportunity and use my title as an Olympia champion to spread fitness and to be a positive role model and to just, you know, have nothing but positive things come from it.
Good. And was it you that posted the picture? It was it blew everyone's minds. It was in your posing routine. You're on the floor, you're crouched, and you're doing that, and then there was like a shot of your glute, and everyone was like, "Look at the condition on this glutes and ham slice." I think, was it you that posted that, or?
I know I posted it, but I also know that I was tagged that picture like several times.
That's crazy.
Because like the whole weekend, you know, like after Friday night, I took a lot of pictures with people, and, you know, just being in the Olympia weekend, a lot of people would, you know, run into you or whatever. And just about every single person was like, "Oh, when you do that thing where you go down to the ground and you see all those lines in your legs, you know, it was so impressive." Or they said, you know, "That's when I knew I started cheering for you when you won," and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I guess now that's kind of my signature pose, if you will.
Awesome. Yeah, that was the shot. That was the one that kind of had everyone talking on social media anyway. So, right, Sarah, this has been absolutely amazing, and just wanted to get you on and acknowledge and congratulate you for the win, because obviously I had you on last year after you got second, and you know, I remember feeling so gutted when I heard you pulled out the Alden, and to see you come back at the Olympia and win the Olympia, beat, you know, the current and dominating champion who just seemed like she was going to win, you know, forever. It was just a real, like, it was a really exciting, it really added to what was an absolutely incredible Olympia. That, I mean, there's times through the year when we thought the Olympia might not even happen. I mean, we were all talking behind the scenes saying, guys, are they going to be able to pull this off? So to see an Olympia like that, and to see that, you know, you came through and you rose and you won. It was a great year to end of 2020. It really was, Sarah.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, I have to agree. Same thing. You know, we wondered, would it happen, would it not? And so it's definitely the icing on the cake for sure. You know, just really, really, really good feeling. And
a nice Christmas present for Ollie for Christmas, getting that Olympia title. So
that's right.
Yeah, also,
absolutely.
Also, Carling's very disappointed, you know, when you wear your medal. Like, I think he thinks that Olympia champions wear their medals, go into the supermarket, they wear them to bed, but they don't actually, Carling. So sorry.
Well, we do. I took it off because, you know, it's my day off today. So. But I've been wearing it everywhere.
Yeah, I think I would. I'd wear it everywhere. Right, okay, then, Sarah, congratulations again, 2020 Olympia champion, absolutely amazing, and can't wait to see you defend your title in September or December or whenever it is, whether it be Florida or Vegas. But just a big well done, absolutely amazing, really happy for you.
All right, thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. Okay, bye-bye. And welcome back to MD Global Muscle here at the On The Rise Media Studio with me, your host, Giles Thomas. And we are joined, Roelly Winklaar. Yes! Roelly, Happy New Year, mate.
Yeah, same for you, bro.
Yeah, oh, mate. Firstly, you're back in Curacao at the moment, yeah?
I'm back home in Curacao, yeah.
Yeah, how long for? And when are you going back to? What's the plan now for you?
You know, I speak with my coach and Butter. What's going to be with the plan from this year? But nothing is sure about nothing. Which show, nothing, because they tell me Mr Olympia, they're gonna do it again in December.
Okay.
And the Arnold Classic was my plan to do it because it's nearby in the big show. But I hear still that is not on the list.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know which show I can do.
Right. So now, obviously, the big news was, I mean, we were all so gutted, so disappointed when we found out that you weren't going to be in the 2020 Olympia. What happened, mate? Take us through it. Tell us what happened.
I go tell the truth. The first problem was I have a guest post in Iraq.
Yeah.
And it was 2019. Shorey invited me, and it was everything good. It was only for 3 days. Just coming there, just do your guest post and go away. And it was 2019, and I'm always traveling to US all the time, and we go like 9 days before Mr Olympia. We start to travel, and we go from Kuwait to Turkish to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and in Turkey, they see that I go to Iraq in 2019, and it was already 1.5 years ago, but you have to be 2 years. If you have ESTA, I have ESTA.
Yeah.
ESTA means you can come US for 2 years. For 2 years. ESTA is for 2 years.
Yeah, it's 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years, and they say you can't go because you have ESTA, and you go to Iraq. That's mean we can't let you go because ESTA mean you can go Iraq, Iran, and everything.
What?
I say, okay. What is the thing now? You say, we can help you. You can't fly to US. The car, they say no because your ESTA information is bad.
Okay.
That mean you lie to them.
Oh, no.
Okay. You lie to them. I have the second passport. I try with that, but they block me.
Oh.
Yeah, like don't matter what you do, they block you and you can't come US anymore. Okay. Now, me and my manager was trying the whole day, trying what the best was and what we can do. I was planning to take the next day the same flight, but the ESTA was blocked. No matter, I can't go with ESTA. The only option was I can go with visa. To wait till Monday, then I had to wait 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days for that because we fly Thursday, Friday, and I had to wait to 3-4 days to wait to Monday to go to Amsterdam from US in Turkey. Is too long, and if they will give you, that was the question.
Yeah.
But the other option was go back home and try the ambassador from US in my country, in Curacao.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the best option because it was already planned and everything, and my visa was ready to do it. But I have to come home. But that one day stay in Turkish, I get positive because to fly to my country, you have to do the test. To fly to Netherlands, is no problem. You don't need the COVID test. And I was positive the first time. I was like, no, it's not possible because I feel well. I feel good.
Yeah.
I don't have nothing. My whole team is good. Why I have it? I'm every day with the guys. Every day, nobody have it. Why I have it? For one day stay in Turkish, I have the positive.
Yeah.
I test like 3 times, and it was positive. And
so that's four positive tests you had.
I got 4 because I do it on the airport the same day, the day, and then I was like, nah, it's not possible. Let me do it then on the hospital. That was like positive again. Then the next day, I do 2 tests again, somewhere place, because you can't do it the same place again.
Yeah.
I do it 2 other place. I was positive again. I was like, okay, I can do nothing anymore. The only option was go Netherlands and give it up, because if I go Netherlands, I can't go US because you have to stay 2 weeks quarantine.
Yeah.
If you go out of airport, if you directly fly to Curacao, that is possible because you don't stop in Netherlands. You don't go out of Netherlands. You just fly to Curacao and then Curacao. But I don't have other option, and I was positive because I fly to Netherlands.
Yeah.
And if I had the COVID, I can't tell you that because it was just 1 week. I just have the fever. I don't have the symptoms like everybody tell me. You smell, you don't taste this food. You have that, you have this. I just have the fever and headache. And I just had it 1 week. And after the week, this exactly 2 days after Mr Olympia, I do the COVID test, and I was negative. I fly directly, go home. I was happy that I'm home, but I was like, that 1 day stay in Turkish that make me whole damage.
Oh no!
But it was possible to go to Curacao, and they will give me because all the sport people over Curacao was in it. They will help me. It was possible to give me the visa.
Right.
There was no problem. The problem was I got the COVID, and the COVID, I got positive, and I can't fly.
Oh no!
My country is a small island. They don't take the risk to have the all COVID shit. And
so all that prep, all that, because we got 12, 16 weeks prep all gone,
Yeah, and I was believe in myself for the whole prep. For the first time, I was believe in I don't never believe in myself, but this time I was believe in myself that I was in the top guys. I was in the top 3 for sure. I was like looking at the show like, damn. My coach was like, he say, really, I want to cry because my shape was good.
Yeah. So how do you feel? How do you feel now in yourself, and how do you feel about everything?
I just start like last Monday. I just start training, and I was feeling like I feel good. I feel good. Secondly, I was training light and I was feeling already pumped. And it is good to go out of training. I was feel good, but still I have the pain from, damn, why it happened with me, you know? It's like, you know, and exactly how you say it. It's not all the prep that you're doing, but it's all the, I go far from home to training.
Yeah.
And still not the hours that you take in it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not something that you choose for it. You have it, or you don't have it. You know.
Yeah.
You don't choose for it.
Well, I mean, 2020 was such a challenging year for so many. I mean, it was unlucky for a select few people like yourself. You know, it was it's just one of those things you're just going to have to write off there. So what have you got any plans to go back to Kuwait, or are you just kind of not stuck in Curacao? What's the plans now?
My plan is now to just rest and come back in training and still decide which show I gotta do, and depend that we decide if I go Kuwait for preparation. But still not everything is on the list. Say it again. I hope everything come on the list so you make a decision what you gotta do and what I want to do.
Yeah. So, but I imagine it was nice to be back with your family the last few weeks. So was that a good thing for you? Was it, you know, good Christmas and everything?
You know, it is always good to be back in family. You know, I'm a family man.
Yeah.
But here in Curacao, it's a small island state already. If we have more than we have like 1,000 people that have the COVID, and everything is locked down.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas was for people here like a hell, because we shut down 8 o'clock and the stores and everything shut down like 5.
Oh wow! A curfew 8 p.m.
It's right like it's very quiet. Usable Christmas is the most beautiful things on this island, because families and everybody party, like you hear the music, you hear the sensation on the island. But this Christmas was like quiet, like it's like Sunday, like nothing to do. Nobody go, because it was lockdown was very. And the lockdown is just like 2-3 days. The upgraded to 11. You know, and still the alcohol is not allowed to sell.
What?
People,
What?
Yeah, because
no.
if they sell the alcohol, there will be a group of people. And there will. This alcohol is not allowed to sell now on the island, and. For a lot of people, it's that worse, and for me not. But the gyms are open. For me, that's already good.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just about to ask actually, what's the training like there? Because I mean, I know you were on an island last year. We spoke, and you were stuck somewhere. And you said the gyms weren't very good, but so back in Curacao, there's some good gyms for you to train at. Yeah.
The gyms are open. All the gyms are open, and
that's good.
And I trained already 1 week, and. I feel good.
Good. So, what did you think about the Mr Olympia then? I mean, did you watch it on the live stream, or was it just too painful for you to watch?
I paid to watch.
Sorry, we just lost you a bit there, Roelly.
Still, you have to put.
Sorry, I lost you there, mate. Sorry, say that again, please.
Hello.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Roelly? We lost you.
Yeah. I say I pay for it to watch it.
Yeah.
And because I was in Netherlands.
Oh, okay, because I saw a picture of you with William Bonac. So that was when you were back in Rotterdam, was it?
Yeah, William Bonac was already back.
Okay.
And exactly the day after he come, I just do the test, and I was negative. I come say hi to him.
Yeah.
Next day I fly to home. The Christmas day I fly to home.
Right. Okay.
Yes, I fly about the Mr Olympia. It was good lineup. But still I was thinking Bernard get place higher.
Sorry, who? Sorry.
In my opinion, I think Bernard have to play higher.
Oh, you think
And
William?
William have to play place higher, and it was a strange prejudge.
Why?
Because it was about Bernard, Brendan, and Phil. And the last call out when they put Brendan, Phil, Rami, and Hadi, Bernard was not in it. I was like, strange.
Oh, really? You wanted William in there?
I think William plays the high.
Thing is though, some people had Hadi some people had Hadi second. People said that, you know, I mean, that top 5 was so close. So how would you have placed it?
You know how I place it.
Come on,
you know,
come on.
It is you know, Phil and Big Rami.
Yeah.
How more the posing, how more better they'll be. They'll be harder.
Okay.
More definition. And exactly Phil. How more he pose, he more he pop out.
Yeah.
But in the prejudge, still I give it to Bernard.
You gave the prejudging of the Mr. Olympia to William Bonac.
I gave it to Bernard.
Wow.
But in the final,
yeah,
how more Big Rami and Phil was posing, how harder to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So based upon the prejudging, you had William winning the prejudging, but the night show you think it was between Phil and Rami.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you again. Yeah.
Phil, Rami. But how to say? They say always about Phil's belly. If the go complained that he was not the one best belly.
Yeah.
Still, everything of his was in contact.
Yeah.
How more he pose, how better he be. And I say it again, nobody can win Phil's back.
Oh, he's back. You think no one can touch Phil's back shots?
Nah, nobody can Phil's back.
He's impressive, isn't he? So what about Brandon then? Because obviously Brandon brought a completely different look this year. What was your thoughts on Brandon Curry?
Brandon, he was. I think he was sharper. He was sharper than last year. Exactly everywhere. But you know, if you stand next to Rami, you're always small.
I think everyone looks small next to Rami. Oh my God! So were you? I mean, obviously we were so shocked. I mean, Rami getting through on a special invite. I mean, he was 3rd at the Arnold Classic. It was like, you know, he was 6th place in 2018. You know So what were you shocked when you saw how he looked on stage, or did you have a feeling he would look that good?
You know, Rami got the same problem as me. He's big, and only what he have to do is coming sharper, lose weight, so he can come sharper. He's got the same weight as me, and that was a good thing. Everybody was not sharp enough, and he was sharper than normal, and that's why he pop up.
Yeah.
He pop up correctly, and he's big, and he comes sharper than him, and his side chest, he make damage in everybody. I think if I was damaged, his side chest was wow.
Yeah. Do you know what? He did what you did in 2016 when you did the body power. He brought his waist in like you did. Remember from 2013 to 2016 that I couldn't believe what I saw. That's what he did.
Yeah. But in my opinion, his waist is still big, but because his legs is so big, you can't see that.
Yeah.
You know, that is just lucky what he have.
Yeah. No, I was very impressed. I said on one of the forums, I said, Ramy did what Roelly did in 2016 and brought the waist right in. It was amazing what he did. Like you said, it still could be smaller, but I was impressed with what he did.
2018.
No, 2016. 2016. Okay. No, remember body power. Because you came out and I was sat with Ronnie Coleman, and you came out and you hit a pose right in front of me, and I took a picture. And people,
UK, right?
Yeah. And everyone said, Giles, you photoshopped that. And I said, guys, I took it on my phone. It is not Photoshop. I guarantee. Like what he did with his waist. And also, the thing is, I was really hoping we'd get like what you brought the night show at the 2018 Olympia. I was really hoping we'd kind of see that, because I think that really that in the mix would have been very interesting, I think, to see at the Olympia this year. But it's done and dusted now, mate.
But I was thinking I was better than 2018
really
Olympia.
Really,
I think myself I was better. My waist was a lot smaller.
Yeah.
My legs improved. My back improved.
Wow.
I just showed that on the Instagram because I was happy with a lot of improvement from myself because I work hard on it. And exactly my lower back, because my lower back is the most weakness that I have.
Okay. And
that's why I was like surprised myself that I get it and I can improve everybody.
Yeah.
What I work for it, and this was the most painful that I got.
So what were you kind of, because I remember at the 2019 Arnold Classic you were 278, I heard, and then you lost 14 pounds for the Arnold Australia. And you came down, and your waist just went tiny. So you were around about 260 for the Arnold Australia. What were you kind of weighing around just before you left? Before you actually you stopped traveling. What were you kind of like literally right before you left for America or tried to? What were you kind of weighing about? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just remember that my coach was telling me, go 3 days. No carbs.
Yeah.
And when I arrived in Australia, he say, just go eat. Just go eat what you want.
Okay.
And I say, like, what? Really? I say, go eat. I wake up in the morning and he say, just go eat 300-400 rice, what you want. Eat the big steak and leave it to there. I was like, I can eat all. He said, just eat it. Yeah. And he just gave me food and I was like, okay.
Wow.
And I don't know what the food do to me, but usually when I load up like a lot of food up like that, I blow up. I can't hold my belly.
Yeah.
But I was like sharper than ever.
Roelly, he'll tell me off again for saying his name wrong. I really liked your Arnold Australia look. I really liked that. I think that was a real, like, I saw you at the Arnold Classic, and for me, you were too heavy. You were too heavy. You came in, you did the low carbs, and that's the look. I think really that's like a Mr Olympia winning physique. That one with the waist small, and the gut doesn't distend or anything. It looks nice and tight. How you looked at the 2018 Olympia when you took third at the night show. How you looked when you won the EVL Prague. I mean, that for me is the sweet spot for you.
Yeah. That was my year, 2018 was my good year.
Oh, so good, wasn't it? So good. Yeah. You and Nathan at the Nathan still says he had you.
I break my toe, remember that?
You break your toe? When did you do that? Was that the Arnold Australia? Oh, lost you there, mate.
No, Prague.
Oh, Prague.
Before I come to stage, I broke my toe.
Oh, no. Oh, well, so no calf raises for you then.
Before before I step up on the stage, I break my toe.
Oh no!
But I break my toe in Prague, and everybody was knowing that. But I say, keep on the show, and we post on the same from you have to go hospital. I say, yeah, after the show.
Yeah.
And how more you wait, how worse it could be, you know.
Yeah.
But I win the show, and then after I go to hospital. Done.
He just carried on. Oh, what a trooper! So, just another side question: what's your brother up to? What's Quincy up to now? Where is he?
You know, Quincy is 1 year in lockdown, just like for maybe 2 months now that the gyms are open in Trinidad.
Okay.
Because he lives in Trinidad, and he can't train in Trinidad, and he have a farm. So he's busy with his family.
He's got a farm.
He got 1 baby. He's busy with the second baby.
Okay.
My little sister got her baby today.
Oh,
I'm
fantastic.
I'm a happy uncle.
Yes.
I'm a happy uncle. The family is growing, but still only girls. I just want boys to come represent me, you know.
Isn't it like Ronnie? He's got like Ronnie Coleman. He's got like 11 daughters, isn't he, or something? It's all girls. He never had a boy. So so congratulations. You're an uncle.
And still we have 4 brothers and sisters, and still we can win Ronnie Coleman.
Just all girls.
No. So. I say we are four brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And still, we all can win Ronnie Coleman. We don't have 11 children together.
In between it, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, because I know you're a very family-orientated person, and Quincy is as well. So that's great to hear. Anyway, so then, mate. So I mean, have you thought about your next plans for 2021 yet?
Yeah, my plan is just qualified so fast possible, so I can rest and go focus on Mr Olympia.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to forget the 2020. You know, it's not nice.
Yeah. Well, it's behind you now, mate. Just just like I said, just focus on moving forward, mate. Because you know, it's I mean, that's the thing about the sport. It's always so full of surprises, and I just we want to see you back up there, and you know, and because thing is, mate, you've got such a big fan base. You know, we're dying to see you back up there, mate. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've got my little Roelly here as well.
Oh yeah.
I got my little Roelly.
Yeah.
He's been sat here very quietly the whole day. So cool.
Yeah.
All right then, mate. Well, like I said, I just wanted to get you on. I just wanted to find out what happened and see how you're feeling, see how you're doing. And it's always great to speak to you, mate. It always is. And I'm glad to see that. You're focusing on what's in front now, mate. Because it's good things are lying ahead for you, 2021, mate. I think I can say that definitely.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roelly, and and I'll hope to see you on stage or at some of the shows at some time in 2021, mate.
Okay.
Thank you, Roelly. Bye bye. Okay, guys, it is shout out time for season 4, episode 3 of MD Globe Muscle. Also, in the interests of complete transparency, we've got to be careful with the copyright. But it wasn't my fault. It was Kalim's. So you're right there, mate. Fanny around. Right. Okay. Let's go to our shout out. Our first shout out, which is bodybuilder Chul. This is actually Chul Soon. Is it Chul Soon? Is that his name? Chul Soon's a different guy, isn't it? Chul Soon's a different guy. He's the one who does the dancing. So I've forgotten this guy's name. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Chul. Oh, what's his name? Mr. Korea. Chul. Yeah, the guy won the Korea Pro Show. I was getting confused because when I was typing in this thing, the Chul Soon came up and it's a different guy. This is the guy. I've completely forgotten his name. That's so bad. Seong Chul, isn't it? Seong Chul. Obviously, it's all in Korean. But yeah, look at this. I mean, this is a guy that won the Korean Pro Show. He beat Samson Dowda by 1 point earlier last year. Did you see the production of that show? It was amazing, wasn't it? Absolutely, the stage, the lasers, the lights. But here's a guy that looks amazing in pictures. But I think he looked absolutely fantastic at the Olympia. He took 12th place at the Olympia. Let's go some more pictures. Okay, Colleen, what strikes you as odd about this picture?
It kind of looks like the thing.
No, the head looks a bit small.
Yeah, exactly.
Is his head really that small, or have they photoshopped it? Because do you know what? A very, very well-known photographer told me once. He said that a lot of back in the 90s and stuff like that, the way they wouldn't Photoshop pictures, but they would, to make the bodybuilder look bigger, especially for the front covers, they would shrink the head, but they wouldn't, because then it's kind of making them look more impressive without kind of changing their physique, which isn't, it's just kind of wrong, really. But the head looks very small. But I mean, look at the size of this guy. I kind of feel like there's a bit of Photoshop going on there. I mean, if it isn't, that is bloody impressive. And he did take 12th place at the Mr Olympia. I think he's the first, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure they said he was the first Korean pro in the Open at the Mr Olympia. So that's a huge achievement for Korea. So, okay, let's shrink this down. Right, okay, let's see some. There we are. There he is at the Mr Olympia. Look at that. Yeah, he's impressive, isn't he? He's not really missing any body parts. Here we are. He competed at Mr Olympia Stage 2020 as first Korean open class bodybuilder and continued to challenge pro shows in Mr Olympia in USA, unlike he interviewed in Korea. Okay, so that's obviously the English is a bit. But yeah, 12th place at the Olympia, won his first pro show. I'd be very, very interested to see this guy competing in some American pro shows in 2021 if he can travel over, hopefully. What's this? Okay, let's have a look at. That's Brandon Curry. Let's listen to the sound. Can we get some sound on? Oh yeah, look, he's speaking to Brandon. Good old Brandon. Look at the size of him. Oh no, it's a video, guys, not a picture. When you start pausing it, and they're freezing, and no, it's a video. Oh, that's nice. There's Juan Morel. Who's that guy there? Who's that one there? Who's that? I can't make out who that is. Look at the thickness of him. Brandon Curry. He's holding up well there. That's very impressive. I don't know who that guy is there. Sorry? The French guy. Oh, Antoine Vaillant. Yeah, then, yeah. Oh, it's good. Well spotted, mate. Good. I'm slacking. I better up my game. Here he is again at the 2020 Olympia. So, yeah, he did a good showing. Very good showing. He was one of the guys that, one of the newcomers that did himself proud. He looked great. He didn't kind of win his pro show and just was happy to be there. He brought it. He really brought it. Some backstage stuff at the Olympia. I love all this stuff. All the kind of, look at that. There he is. Okay, I'm trying to. There he is. It's Juan Morel again. I don't know who that guy is. This is him walking on stage. I'm thinking to do his posing routine, maybe. God, look at his traps. He looks tall as well. Looks really tall. Super impressive guy. This guy's got real potential. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, this is where they would do all the guys doing the videos because the overhead lighting. Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive. Yeah. Keep an eye out for this guy. Let's watch a little bit more of this. Actually, we better turn the sound off, haven't we? Okay. Yeah. Okay. What else? Okay. Yeah, I think you get the idea. Let's look at some photographs. Here we are. Yeah. Okay, he's huge. I wonder what he weighs. He looks at least. I can't make out his height. He looks about 5'11", 6 foot, but he's really heavily muscled. So he looks like he's a decent waist. Nice small waist there. I don't think Samson should feel bad about losing to this guy, only by 1 point as well. So bear that in mind. Yeah, he's huge, really huge. I bet he's an absolute superstar in Korea. But yeah, fantastic. Yeah, Bodybuilder Chill, give him a follow. Bodybuilder Chill, sorry, I'm going to say that again, put my teeth in. Right, okay, we're going to go to our next shout out I've given this guy a shout out before, but I'm such a fan of this guy's work. Nicandro Vision Motivation, 393,000 followers. This guy just takes footage from all eras of bodybuilding, and he does absolutely amazing. Oh, I can tell you this. That's Brian Buchanan for the 1989 Olympia in Rimini. Look at that. They said he had a 26-inch waist and a 52-inch chest. That's Flex Wheeler at the 1993 Olympia. That's when he took second to Dorian. Should we put the sound on or risk it? Look at Paul Dillette. That's 1994 Mr Olympia. I was such a big fan of Paul Dillette's. He was awesome. Francis Benfato, 1990 Mr Olympia. Sorry, I'm just showing off now. So, Flex Wheeler. I want to see the San Francisco Pro Show. 91 Olympia. Francis Benfato, 7th place. He was incredible, Francis Benfato. He was only about 13 stone on stage, you know. I think he was 176 at the 1990 Mr Olympia. And I think he was never heavier than about 190. Although he came back in 2006 and he just came back absolutely huge. Sean Ray, I think that's, I want to say 99. Tom Prince, that's when he won the USA's. Tom Prince was amazing. God, I could just watch these all day. Yeah, Francis Benfato again. Wow. Okay, let's go to another one. Pick one, Colleen.
Scroll down.
Okay, that's Orville Burke.
Scroll down again.
Oh, The Rock. Better be careful with the sound as well, haven't we?
Dennis James.
You want to go Dennis James? Oh, do you know what? I hope people never forget just how freaky Dennis James was. Okay, can you put the sound on low or?
Try it.
Let's have a look. Let's have a listen. Okay, it's not. Okay, why is it doing that? Oh, yeah. No, it's not doing it. Charles Glass in the background there. I don't know who this guy's. I'm shooting one of Charles Glass's guys. Look at that. He's such a freak. Dennis James, we've had obviously many times on Global Muscle. Look at his back. My God, imagine walking past him in the gym. You'd feel very, very skinny. Oh, okay. Victor Richards there. I wasn't a big fan of Victor Richards. Okay, you can't not get Ronnie Coleman on. Oh, there's Arnold and Ronnie.
Going to be one of those guys that are going to
go
and back
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
every time something is difficult.
Awesome.
Sit down. As if you think this way,
Ronnie Coleman.
you're going to be a loser.
Yeah, two of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Arnold Schwarzenegger, 7-time Mr. Olympia, 70 to 75 in 1980. Ronnie Coleman, 98 to 2005. Yeah. Look at Ronnie. The monster. That's why he did the Arnold Classic in 2001, because he wanted a Hummer. That's what he said to Chris Cormier the other week on another show I produce.
I do whatever it takes.
Wow, I could just watch this all day. Look at that. That's the evolution of bodybuilding from the 70s to the 90s. They are. That's the best in the world at the time, way ahead. Look at Ronnie.
It's easy, almost.
That's 2003, I think, or 2000?
I'm going to go and crush
2001.
That's me.
Wow. Wow, two of the greatest of all time. Most inspiring bodybuilders ever. God, I wonder how many people started training because of people like Ronnie Coleman and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Because I knew that every rep that I was doing was getting closer to my goal.
Too right, mate. Too right. Okay, I'm going to look at one more and then we're going to have to move on. So, Kalim, I'll hand it over to you again. Oh, this is the video I was talking about, which I forgot. We should have edited really this in when I talked about it with the Sean Clarida interview. This was the video that kind of, this is what I called him Captain CGI. Do you remember? And it fell completely flat because Sean said, "What's CGI?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, Sean, work with me." Why isn't the sound working on that?
There's no sound to begin with.
No, there's sound. So I'm gonna do it one more time. No, there. This is before he was. That's when he was announced the 212 Mr. Olympia. Wow. I wish I could get the sound on this one. No, doesn't want to play ball. Okay, there he is, Sean Clarida. What an inspiration. 2015, he was 155 pounds, didn't make top 15 at the Olympia. Then he went 13th, 9th, 7th, 3rd, and then last year in December won it 177 pounds. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, what an inspiration Sean Clarida is. And you can't, obviously, Big Ramy there as well. Come on, pick one more, and we'll call it. We'll move on. Jay Cutler, okay. That's Jay Cutler 2009, I think. Yeah, I think I'd recognise it. Oh, why isn't the sound working? Nope, doesn't want to work. Come on, it's kind of. Nope, that's really annoying. Okay, there he is. That was Jay Cutler in 2009 when he came back. Look at that. Okay, look at that. 2009, the foot stomp. Yeah, that was 2010. Yeah, I was there at that one. Actually, it might be 2011. No, it was 2010, because 2011, I think he had the torn bicep, I think. So, yeah, 2009, Jay Cutler. I think that's one of the greatest appearances from Mr. Olympia ever. You know, Milos said that was comparable with Ronnie's 2003 Olympia win. So, yeah. Oh, God, I could just look at this account all day. Oh, what's going on here? What's going on here? Okay. But his sound's not working. Right, let's try that again. Right, yeah. Obviously, this was a comeback of Phil Heath. I was just so happy to see him back. Yeah, even at 90% of his best. I mean, he's so impressive, Phil Heath. I'm a huge Phil Heath fan. Did a tour with him in 2019 in the UK. I'd love to do another one with him. There's Big Ramy, yeah. Did what I think many of us... some of us thought maybe thought he couldn't do, but he proved everyone wrong. He came back this year and he won the 2020 Mr. Olympia. Ronnie Coleman thinks he'll win several. He reckons he'll win 4 to 6 more. The guy only in his 30s. So let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Resolution's not very good on that one. So, right. Okay, I think we spent enough time on that one. Sorry, I love Nicandro Vision there. Let's just go to his Instagram again. Yeah, Nicandro Vision Motivation. Give this guy a follow. Does absolutely fantastic work of motivational videos. If you're struggling for motivation on the way to the gym, just watch a few of those on your phone. And follow his work. He's really, really very, very talented guy. And fantastic. Okay, I want to give Sydney Gillen now a shout out. Vitamin C, VY. This is the 4-time Olympia figure champion. She's just unbeatable. And the reason I'm giving her a shout out is because she's just got married. Oh, does she look beautiful? Oh, look at that dress. My face. When someone asks, are you going to eat all that food? Yeah, she was, dumb questions get dumb answers. Okay, that's a beautiful picture. Look at that one. Oh, that's lovely. That's amazing. Is that her? That's her, isn't it? Yeah, that's obviously maybe off-season because she's not looking very muscular there, is she? So, because Sydney Gillen, I mean, is she even beatable? Well, for the last 4 years, she has not been beatable. But look at that. What are you silent about? Thought process. We are all competitive about something. The difference between champions and opponents is knowing what you love enough to protect, knowing what you love so much that you don't need to brag, boast, or seek approval about. You're that confident in your love for it. It's the love that drives passion. Look at that. There we are. Yeah. I think she's got the best quarter turn in the business. I've said that many times. Presentation is probably the best out of all the females. You know, and that's extremely impressive considering that figure are only allowed to do really quarter turns. They can't flex or pose. Here she is. My wedding glam team was everything. Look at that. She's got a full team of people getting her ready. Fantastic. Oh, her hair looks amazing. Wow, she looks so cute. Go on. That's lovely. Let's have a look at the next one. Oh, look at that. The dress looks nice. Do you like the dress?
Something from Star Wars.
Something from Star Wars. Yeah, it does a bit. Yeah. Is that? She's cool. Yeah, I just want to congratulate her and her new husband. And there we are. There we go. I'll finish on that one. Okay, I cannot wish for a better man, a better location, or a better honeymoon experience. I don't know where they've gone. St. Lucia. Oh, they've gone to St. Lucia. Oh, look at that. There you go. Nice way to end 2020. Married, 4th Olympia title. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Okay, well, congratulations on obviously your 4th Olympia win and your recent wedding. So, yeah, well, congratulations. Colleen, this is your shout out now. This is Anna Heath, figure athlete, _ Anna B _. So what do we know about her, Colleen?
Basically what you just said.
Okay, so which photo should we go to? Which one? Stage?
So that one.
BMB. Oh, she's natural. Okay, BMBF is a natural federation in the UK. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, so she competes in figure. Cool. Let's have a look. There you go. Oh, she's got cool. Look at those tattoos.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Is she? What nationality is she, Colleen?
I'm assuming she's British, but
British, yeah. She looks like she's like a Middle Eastern look, I think, maybe. If that's Middle Eastern? Kind of. No, she looks a bit like Russian or something, or am I right? Or I'm completely way off?
Probably way off.
No. I think she looks Russian there. I would put money on her being Russian.
I'll text her right now.
Text her right now. Yeah, cool. Okay, so she's obviously done a few shows here. So she trains at Strength Pro Gym in Bradford, which is owned by Buff Bombshell co-host Emma Heineman. So that's the gym there. I train there sometimes. Yeah, not at the moment though, because all gyms are shut. So yeah, any more pictures you want to see quickly?
Scroll down.
Cool. Oh, the Two Bros. She's done Two Bros. Okay, she's done the NPC. Here she is. What year? When was this? What's the date? 10 weeks. So this was this the
Last year or maybe year before.
Was this December? I think this was the September show. I've got a feeling. The one that Lauren did.
I think so.
Host of Buff Bombshell show. She did the bikini amateur. So yeah, she got good luck. Yeah, good. Fantastic. Okay. Yep. Okay. So very distinct look, isn't she? Really striking look. Wow. Can you guess what I love most about show day? We'll do a proper post later, but here's my face. In the meantime. Is that a tattoo on a hand, on a palm?
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
It's like when they get them on the ankle. Apparently it's just, it's straight on the bone. Have you got any tattoos, Gally?
No, because I'll get bored of them.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, same here. The pain doesn't bother me, but
Or I'll get the stick-on tattoos.
yeah, stick-on tattoos. What the Spider-Man ones you get with the bubble gum when you're a kid.
That's the one.
Yeah, let's plant the sleeves. Right, okay then, let's go to our last one. And now this is the Emmanuel Longoria, the Mexican 24-year-old that Patrick Tuor earlier in this episode was telling us about. Now, this is the kid he reckons will be top 10 Olympia in 4 years' time. Okay, I'm going to use both hands here. Okay, story of my life. Okay, yeah, God, he is good, isn't he? 24, look at the thickness. So he was, I'm sure he said he was 220-something pounds. He said he brought him in on very little, you know what, and he said he's very, was it no diuretics and no drying out, or so he thinks this guy has got Patrick, obviously this preps Iain Valliere, James Hollinshead, Nicholas Vulliud. He's prepped Rafael Brandeo. He's a very, very, this guy works with all the top professional and amateur athletes all over the world. So he is a guy who really has an eye for talent. Okay, let's have a look at these. So he's 24. Yeah, look at the structure. God, yeah, tiny waist, vacuum. I can't read any of this because obviously it's all in Mexican? Spanish? Mexican, what am I talking about? Just see what the response is on that one. Okay, yeah, so here he is. This was when I'm assuming this is what Patrick was on about when he won this was in December. Oh, this is the Amateur Olympia in Orlando at the Olympia, because they have the amateurs, obviously Olympias all over the world. But this was the one, gives it away in the background, Orlando there, written in big words there. But yeah, and he said he was the worst condition at the top 10, but he said he won it quite clearly. So so Patrick thinks this guy has got really, really, really huge potential. Patrick actually WhatsApped me this picture earlier on today. So yeah, I think we'll have to get him on with Patrick and give this guy a bit more publicity as he, because hopefully if he's did he say he's turned pro? I can't remember. I'll have to go back and check. Here's Emmanuel weighing 228 pounds at 5'6". So he's very thick, tiny waist, vacuum. Yeah, he's got a nice shape. Nice shape, this kid. So if he's 24 years old and he's looking this good, let's give him a couple of years. So, so I just want to give this kid, there's a nice shot here. So, so Patrick, this is the guy that Patrick thinks is the next big thing, really. So this is a guy to keep an eye out for in the next few years. So give this guy a follow. Longoria IFBB. Oh, is he an IFBB pro, Khalif? Clues in the name. So he's a new IFBB pro. Fantastic. And he's sponsored by Dragon Farmer. And he's with Gorilla Sauvage. So he's got some nice sponsors there. He's been prepped by one of the best coaches in the world, bar none, So he's this guy's got everything in his favor. Pro card at 24 years old. Yeah, so, okay. Right, okay, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Got some, yes, obviously we're a bit stuck now for shows for the next few months, so we're just going to have to make the best of it and stay tuned to MD Global Muscle every single week. As always, we always appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. And we are out.